Welcome to the Independent Characters, episode 184. This is Carl.
This is Jody.
This is Austin.
And this is Lars.
Thank you guys for joining me for this Warrior Lodge episode. I'm very happy to have you here. So this episode is brought to you by our patron, Matthew Barnett. Thank you so much for your donation and help. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the Patreon that we have just launched for the Independent Characters. I know a lot of shows out there have Patreons. I was hesitant to do it for quite a while, but we have some interesting ideas and things we want to do that are going to kind of take things to the next level, as well as replacing some older equipment and that kind of thing. And this is quite frankly the way we have to do it after I have replaced a recording computer. So there went $1,000.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
Ouch.
Yeah. So, everybody out there is shilling for your buck. We're really not, in the sense that this show will continue to be free. We will continue to release episodes as we've been releasing episodes. There will be no change in that, except it'll probably get a little more regular. But those people who do join the Patreon get some extra benefits out of it. Even those people who don't join it are going to see the benefits of that, as all the money collected from it is going right back into equipment for the show and various other things that we're planning on doing. So it all goes right back to the show. None of it's really like lining my pockets. It's so funny because it has taken off a lot faster than I expected before even announcing it on the show. And I was kind of telling somebody it's making me nervous just how popular it got so quickly. And they said, well, why? I said, well, now I'm going to have to file taxes. I'm going to have to do this, that, and the other thing. And everybody's like, yeah, but it's money. But okay, but there's a lot of hassle that comes with that.
Right.
There's an opportunity cost.
And before I decided to invoke this Patreon thing, and by the way, the CEO's video message for Patreon is very good. Like, it's a really good pitch for artists that deliver content. Before I did that, I mean, you really have to consider, as you do with if you take on sponsors, what does this mean for the show? It means I have to be consistent. It means I have to deliver because people are expecting it. So if I'm committing to an extra episode for patrons only, I have to deliver that extra episode. If I'm committing to a campaign that they're going to get to take part in, I have to deliver on that, and I take it very, very seriously. So
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't think you can do it all on your own.
No.
You can definitely reach out to people in the group to help.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the Discord channel's taken off. Like,
that thing is crazy.
I think it's super fun, though.
No, it's cool.
It's been nice. So yeah, I mean, part of the patronage too is you get access to our Discord server where we're all chatting about 40K and the whatever that model's name is that came out.
Lord Discord.
The Lord Discord. You are the only one, and I should know. I'm the Chaos player, and Jody.
And he's like named after the channel.
Oh, true. Oh, good point. Anyway,
now he's got it.
If you, now I'll never forget it. If you're interested in joining us in some of those things, take a look at our Patreon page. The link is in the show notes. And if not, that's fine too. We hope you continue to enjoy and listen to the program. Okay, so Warrior Lodge is a moderated format discussion where we all talk about a series of topics that's coming up. We're going to have our usual hobby progress and all that. And then we're going to launch into, we have special guests, Skari from the Skaredcast as well. He's going to chime in at a few edited points. And then I have an interview with Dave Taylor about his Armies, Legions, and Hordes book that came out. Finally, the Kickstarter delivered, where you can buy it, how you can get it, and his new Kickstarter that's coming up that's all about building terrain. It's going to be a fantastic book, especially if it's in the same vein as this one.
Yeah,
so,
that's super exciting.
Yeah. I'm super looking forward to that book because I definitely want to step up like my basing and just my terrain game.
I think we will, we're setting aside like these hobby days here. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to set aside just pure terrain day.
I can't wait.
Have somebody like, okay, we're going to show you how to do this piece like you've done
that stuff.
Or we have Justin is pretty good at terrain too. We'll show you how to do this stuff. No, assembling MDF terrain is not one of those. Lars.
Get Harvey
really
to show
hoping.
us all how to do that speed painting. Man, Brian just turns and burns that stuff, and it is gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, I basically mimicked what he did when I did all my Imperial stuff.
Yeah.
So. But he does it better than I do.
I need to post a photo of like my complete table that Brian Harvey did for me.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
great.
beautiful.
It is a pretty epic table now.
Yeah, yeah. So, we got a lot going on this episode. It's not nearly as long as last episode, thank God. But we hope you enjoy it. You guys got anything you want to throw out there before we kind of kick it off and get started?
Can we talk about all the things?
We're going to talk about all the
I
things.
love
talk about all the things.
I love talking about
All
things.
the things.
All right. Well, since you guys are producing nothing coherent right now, and we're recording this at the end of the evening, thank you so much. We hope you enjoy the show. Wargamma.com, where you can get resin terrain, craters, lakes, lava pools, and objectives, figure bases for all types of models, character models including Battle Wolf war mounts and spawn seeds, linked barricades. Choose from one of 6 designs to suit the origins of your army, from Star Pharaoh, Spawn Hive, Mechanoid, Dark Ancients, Dradelian Noble, and Chromag Scrapyard. Linked barricade sets include 12 large shields, which are 2 inches wide, and 4 connecting walls. Cover nearly a 30-inch line. Sets also include a matching multi-gun turret. Wargamma.com. Alternative battle miniatures. All right, and so since we're not kicking it off with Hobby Progress anymore, now we're kicking it off with Elite Choice.
Yeah, we are.
This is the thing that we saw in the last few weeks that we thought was the coolest from our Facebook group. So let's start with Jody again. You get to start because this was your idea. You're going to continue to be first to go for a while.
Right on. So the thing that jumped out from the community page for me, this is pretty aggressively self-serving. Andrew Tripp commented about something I said on the last episode regarding that I didn't really understand why anybody would choose to follow Nurgle, and that he is this malevolent force that just unwittingly ensnares people who are desperate for help. It is like a bad tax pyramid insurance scam thing.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. But it ended up being this really interesting conversation about the nature of the different chaos
You get 2
gods.
friends sick, and you get 2 friends sick.
Yeah. And then it'll all be better. I don't agree with, nobody convinced me of anything like every good internet conversation ever, but it was fun to kind of go back and forth and really engage with something we talked about on the show.
Yeah.
So that was a good time.
Yeah, I do like when something on the show like spurs some kind of conversation and has it. Like sometimes you learn things you didn't really think of, and I always find that really fascinating.
Yeah, the argument was, in short, that Nurgle loves all of his followers, and all the other chaos gods are just using them like tools.
I don't know that I buy that. But
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, not so much. I'm staunchly unconvinced. You are he cares about you as much as he cares about germs and filth, but I'd rather not be part of the germs and filth. So
I'll agree there.
yeah, that was mine, and I thought that conversation thread was enjoyable to read through and engage with.
Okay, I'll go next. I thought Tyler David's self-titled comic style theme on his Gene Stiller cult Aberrance was a pretty cool approach. I had not seen that done before, where he basically his choice of colors is interesting, but also he hard black lined kind of everything, kind of giving it a comic book edge. I thought that was kind of interesting. I've seen cell shading done on things before to make them look comic booky, but I've not seen this done before. I think it would look cool across an entire army.
Right.
It's not the style I would paint in, but I thought it looked really cool, and it kind of popped up, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, that's something different I haven't seen before. So
yeah,
totally dig that.
I think it's neat that we're seeing styles of painting kind of broaden again, where for a while everything was, and the airbrush is a great tool. I'm not far from knocking it, but everything kind of had that blended, smooth gradient.
Yep.
And I feel like lately I've seen a lot more of people doing the Blanchitsu or this comic book style or these other styles and it all looks cool. I mean, it's all neat looking.
I think like anything, it probably comes and goes, right? It kind of waxes and wanes. When you look back at White Dwarfs from 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, I mean, the look of what people were painting was totally different styles. And I think it just kind of ebbs and flows a bit. I will say, I think painters today, their skills are far better than they were.
Absolutely.
I mean, the tools and the capability of what people are doing, and they're all building upon the shoulders of previous people.
Right.
But even those painters from back then have changed the way they're painting. I find it fascinating that it changes so much.
Well, that segues pretty nicely to Austin's.
There you go, Austin.
All right. I really enjoyed Jeremy Wood's his just overall hobby stuff that he's been knocking out. I mean,
so here's the thing.
Upscaled.
I want us to get through one of these without mentioning Jeremy Wood or Eric Beers at some point. This is only the second one, but I had a hard time not picking Jeremy Wood as well. You're talking about like the terrain piece he's doing.
His dioramas, right?
Oh,
with the Alpha Legion. I mean, they're upscaled Alpha Legion guys, and then the Rhino's also been upscaled.
Yeah.
And then he's got like just this really cool city, like destroyed city diorama board.
Yeah,
and
it doesn't
it's
look
just
like
really neat, and
it doesn't look like a gothic. It looks like a piece of ruin.
It looks like
building.
Somewhere it looks like in a war zone.
Yeah.
a city war zone, and it's just like it's just very cool.
I asked him.
I really enjoy his painting style.
I agree. I agree 100%. I asked him where he. I'm actually commissioning him to do something for me. One tiny thing, because it's a freehand thing, and as we know, he can freehand really well too.
Yeah, actually, I hit him up too because he did that really cool flaming skull banner, and he did it on a piece of tin.
Yep.
And I was like, "What is this magic? I need to learn this," because as we'll discuss later. I'm working on Titanicus, and I want to do my banners like that.
Yeah.
I want to do it on some tin because I don't like the way that just paper banner sits on something on that scale.
Right. Yeah. He's doing banner for me too. Maybe for somebody, maybe for a new model that's coming out. So I'm very, very excited about what we're working on, and honestly, I commissioned him before I really looked and saw. Oh, he's down in Australia. So it's like, okay, well, shipping will be something, but it's going to be worth it, and it'll look really, really cool. So
shipping to Australia is not cheap.
No, or from Australia. But I agree with you, and I actually had a hard time not picking something Jeremy had done as well. And the cool thing about those dioramas, I was asking, what do you do with them after? I don't know if you saw me say that.
I saw that. I saw that little comment thread.
Yeah, and basically he builds them to the size that they fit in his Detolf case. So he just has, a diorama, another diorama. It's pretty awesome.
I think, wasn't he going to do it so like they all fit together?
They can all fit together, yeah.
Nice.
And so, I mean, like you can get a bigger display board or like a bigger just a display piece or maybe even some terrain. I was like, that is just so cool.
On a scale of 1 to 10, he's at an 11.
There's no bottom to that wormhole. I mean, he could just go on and on with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
For sure. Lars, how about you?
Okay, so I know I'm late to the party, but Brent Armstrong. God damn you, Brent Armstrong! Yeah. I watched the video. I knew I shouldn't have watched the video. It's like The Ring, right? It's
Which
like,
video are you talking about?
I'm talking about
Explain.
The Ring where Brent goes through and not just talks about using inks for airbrushing, but actually shows you how frickin' easy it is and how awesome it looks.
So this is the one Justin mentioned last episode.
Right.
And I was giving you kind of
Give
bunch
me a
of
hard
crap
time, but I was like, I don't care. It's that cool.
Yeah. And
I am now an owner of Liquitex ink.
I'm telling you,
because of that video.
After Justin mentioned it, I decided, I'm going to go look at this video. And I watched the whole thing. And it's not a short video, but when you see him just testing it out and this is what I did, I was like, I wonder if that would work with this color. I wonder if that would work. And it's a great video. We've linked it in our group. If you haven't seen it, Goobertown, I think is the name.
Yep.
I'll put a link in the show notes specifically to that video because it really is well done.
And he said he was going to do a follow-up video about pigments, and I'd really be interested in seeing how.
There's some good
pigments and
information on
dye.
the video specifically about looking at the side of the bottle, what type of ink you want to buy, and what the color pigments are, and really
What they mean when they say transparency,
Yeah.
which is not the same from color to color. So,
right.
Yeah.
Super helpful. So thank you so much for that. It's a good call out. It was worth a second call out.
Totally.
Yeah.
Damn you.
I do want to touch real quick on we talk about inks a lot on this right now because it is kind of the hot new tool
Right.
to throw in with the airbrush, and all of us are airbrushing. And I just want people to kind of keep in mind, though, it is just one more tool in your tool bag. It isn't going to change how you do things all that drastically. It's still paint through an airbrush onto a model.
Much
It's
like
easier.
a Sharpie.
Well, people's ears and eyes may be bleeding, and there will be gnashing of
Brian
teeth and
is.
rending of flesh.
Two people are.
Yeah, that's for you, Harvey. But yeah, it's just another tool in the toolkit. It's just the one we're excited about right now. You know, if you go back and listen to the show, there was a Sharpie phase, and then before that, you know, I'm sure there was
washes.
There was washes and Liquitex floor wax at one time.
Yes.
And,
Right,
Like
right.
if you keep going back, and it's not that these things aren't valid. It's just you know, there's always something new. The game has always been evolving and changing and growing. So it's not that you have to have this to do a nice paint job.
No.
A brush and some acrylic paint will still really get you a long way. These might just get you there a little bit quicker.
It's a good call out. And the interesting thing about the inks too is that as you continue to apply layers of them, they get darker. I mean, that's the really interesting thing about it. Whereas a paint, it'll reach a certain color, and then that's the color it is. There's a lot of ways you can toy around with the inks that I think are really interesting. But to your point, they're just the new thing we've discovered and are playing with and having fun with. And it's nice that you can put it through an airbrush and don't have to thin anything.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I
But,
guess I'm just like the lone holdout here on the inks and
You'll see.
whatnot.
You'll
so-
see.
It's
Yeah, I
be
mean,
careful.
it seems
Be careful,
interesting.
Austin.
So I mean, I'm probably going to pick some up here fairly soon, and just give it a shot to see what I can do with it and play around with it a little bit.
Get white.
White.
You'll never
Oh,
go back to
yeah.
white paint again.
No doubt. I saw that and I'm
But I
like,
have my white recipe down that just works beautifully for me.
And you're going to
the
have to
video.
continue to use that white recipe with your towel because that's what the towel are painted, and you're not going to be able to switch it up. But that white goes on.
Yeah.
No clogging.
Is that
no,
the titanium one?
the titanium white.
Yeah, I
ink.
think so. I have a bottle of it over there. I'll show you. So.
That got me because I was holding out as well. I was like, I can do all this stuff. I don't see where I'm going to gain a benefit. I don't see where I'm going to gain something I can't already do. And then I looked at something that was primed black, rattle can black, and then white over the top and went, never mind, time to get some ink. And
Yep.
that was a game changer. It
was
really
so
is so much better because I am somebody who is aggressively against, do not like them for myself. I know people love them. Primer through an airbrush is just,
I just avoid it because I always clog my airbrush with
Yep.
it. It never works quite right. I just
it adds steps and frustration to my life that I try to remove. And then when I saw that, I went, oh my God, this is the answer to white primer. The long-awaited white primer is
Yeah.
Oh right.
you
God.
prime black because that's easy, and then you hit it with this white ink, and you've lost nothing.
Yeah.
and you have that really crisp white.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
That was the kill. That was like the killer app for me when I was watching the video. Oh my God, he's just dipping it straight out of the bottle into the airbrush, and it's
working.
covered.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very
Oh my
smoothly.
God.
Yeah. It's really. It's just a nice tool.
a great tool.
But I still have a lot of paints. Like I'm not going to paint exclusively with inks. Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
no, but it is for shading. It's fantastic. Just all kinds of great things you can do with it.
yes, indeed.
All right. So let's kick off the rest of the segment with a bit of Workbench now. So a bit of hobby progress. Been very slow for me. I'll go first since I've really not accomplished much. I sold a bunch of RPG stuff at the Game Castle flea market. I saw Don and saw you there. So we were all right next to each other
Did
selling
you guys
off
just
stuff.
trade stuff?
No.
Just in a circle?
No, we didn't. I don't think we trade. I bought something from you, but we had arranged for that before. Oh, it was Josh, not you.
Well, it's an easy mistake.
There it is.
You
They
guys
look exactly
so
alike.
much alike.
Sitting in the same seat.
Nothing.
What am I doing? You're looking at me like me? No,
No, I wasn't
Sorry,
there.
it
I was doing something else.
Josh and myself and Adon were there, and I bought. Josh had a Contemptor Thousand Suns Dreadnought that I wanted to buy from him.
You want me to make you feel real bad about the flea market right now?
Sure, go ahead.
I walked out of there with a unopened Star Weaver, 2 specific metal Harlequin figures, and a coloring book for my daughter.
Well done.
I was so happy and proud of myself.
That
'Cause
is-
normally it's just okay. Open a vein. Here, take my liver. Take my kidney.
Yeah. You walk out of Costco with one item and they're like, is that it? And you're like, yes. Yes, it is.
I win.
Done. I win. Yeah, for me, those flea markets have been pretty much about terrain. Like I go in, I look around. Is there any terrain for sale? Nope. I leave. It's very rare now that I'm picking something up. But I had arranged to buy this thing from Josh, but way before this. So, but it was cool to get in there early because I had a table, and you go run around and kind of look at what everybody's selling before anybody comes in, and you get an opportunity if you want to snatch anything up. But there was no terrain, so I didn't bother. But I sold some stuff before the door even opened.
There you
So
go.
that
Oh,
was
that's
great.
good.
So I ended up selling something where like around $350 worth of RPG stuff, and I was letting it go pretty cheap. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of it. I got it in my van. Anyway, so that I'll apply at $350 towards 40K stuff.
There you go.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
Black Legion has just earned my money. I'll tell you that.
Yes, indeed.
I pre-ordered Shadow Spear. Other Austin IPA and myself are
Austin.
going in on a kit together because we both want. We're both individually buying one and then buying one to split. So I'll take his Black Legion half of that.
Sweet.
I have the preview copy, which is you've seen now, and
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive.
Can't wait.
I've been writing some lore for the CK Studios Titan project for the Nova Open that they've been talking about. So there is a Warlord Titan that the CK Studios guys and Justin and a bunch of other folks. Sam Linds is doing work on it.
Oh wow.
Everybody's doing work on this thing. They're building a base. And I'm writing the backstory and lore for all the thing that's going to be put into a book that the winner of the auction.
So how's
or
that working? Is that certain panels going to certain people, or
I don't know.
certain
how-
people are responsible for certain parts of it? How do
One
you get the
person's
painting
doing
style?
the base, right? So they're custom making a base. I genuinely don't know how they're going to split up the work and have it all look cohesive, but they've got a plan. They are the better painters than I am. I trust them to do it.
Yeah, they're okay, I guess.
I guess if you're into awesomely painted stuff. I saw that Justin was over there helping clean stuff off last Sunday. So, and then I've been building the campaign backend for the Patreon members and the local group players that'll run here.
That counts.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that doesn't
It's
just
a lot of
happen.
work. So I've also been planning the additional show for the Patreon backers at the specific levels to get access to the show. So I've got the outline, I've planned the recording, and I got some cool stuff. So I think it'll be a neat episode. No hobby progress in that one. So then, Jody, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been pretty busy. So Adon wasn't able to join us in this particular episode, so I'm going to stand in for Adon's hobby progress this time. So
what did you inventory?
I packed up my entire game room. I'm not joking. All of my models, packed all those up, lovingly went through them and cataloged them. And actually, Carl, you were really the motivation behind all
I'm
this.
glad I could help.
Yeah. So if you guys remember, last episode we were talking Nurgle, and Adon made a comment about driving his motorcycle in the rain. And Carl said, "Oh, boo-hoo, rain in California, we have it so easy." And both Adon and I kind of were like, no, but like, hey, it's relative, and said, hey, weather's a thing, and yeah, it may not be snowing here, but well, that night it poured.
It did pour.
And poured.
And let's be clear, like, look, I've gone to Utah recently when it rained, and that is rain that is super hard.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We don't have the infrastructure to deal with rain like that here.
Yeah, my condo really didn't have the infrastructure to deal with that. So my daughter had an early shift. She, bless her little heart, works at Jamba Juice, and she had an early shift and got up, and I hear a knock at my door in the morning to, hey, Dad. Yeah, my room's flooded. Those are not words you want to wake up to. Both of the bedrooms had flooded due to a lack of drainage. So Nurgle was offended by Carl's disrespect of the weather. So I got some backed up rain runoff, and we had to move very, very suddenly. We were already looking, and it just moved the whole thing along. Anyway, so as of that, I packed up my entire game room. So that was my main hobby progress. I did, however, just to really keep on the Adon train, let me talk about the things I did manage to buy during the move. I did pre-order my half of a copy of Shadowspear. Josh that's not here right now, Carl. He's in Santa Cruz.
What?
This is Jody, and
Listen,
I'm here.
both your names start with J. It's not my fault.
This is like being at my home growing up where we all have J names. Anyway, we are splitting a copy. I'm very anxious to get my hands on those Chaos Marines. Hopefully the spikes make painting Chaos Marines or Marines of any kind a little more bearable. And then I bits ordered, actually. Finally, somebody re-upped on the Vargeist wings. Or the Vargulf wings from the Fantasy Cryptor kit. I'm going to be doing adding those to the Forge World Cornate Demon prints, which will require a little bit of sculpting and dremeling on a Forge World model, which is always kind of a
nerve-wracking.
A little, yeah. I'm like, well, don't screw this up.
Listen, Forge World price is not that different than GW prices these days. So
that is actually very true.
That's true.
It's the quality of the sculpt.
Getting it is hard.
It's the quality of matching. There's texture on those resin models that there isn't elsewhere. So I have a whole plan for dropping out some of the armor plates that he has. This is the big two-handed axe fella with the herald. Dropping out some of the plating off his back and then having the wings be kind of wrapped in the plating. But those wings look like they'll be a really good fit. They'll be a little small for his body, but in a weird way, I like that.
Because you're talking about the big demon prince with the two-handed axe and then the little herald guy that goes with him, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a decent sized model.
Yeah. And then keep in mind the Vargeists or Vargulfs, their whole arm is a wing. So it is a large wing, but on him, it will be a little small. And I think what came to mind for me, and this is a really dated reference, so bonus points for those who get it. There's an old Eddie Murphy movie called The Golden Child.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, the demon, when I was a kid, the demon that's at the end of that movie freaked me out.
Yeah.
In a good way, but it freaked me out. And he has little teeny tiny wings on this great big body and this Peanuts, Charles Schultz peanut size head. And so, think of that, but not comedic in my description. So yeah, I like this idea of these little kind of atrophy tattered wings, just enough to lift this guy as he bounds across, the board. And anyway, so I was able to purchase those bits and plan that project. So there you go, Adon. There's all my moved things and made purchases and plans to actual hobby.
John French will love that.
There you go.
Yep.
Austin, as the person who has done some incredible work, why don't you help us with our hobby progress here?
Hey, no pressure, right? So we
can live up to
we
it.
played Titanicus in a group of 4 of us just to try the game out. And then I had not finished my Warlord at the time, but after we played that game, I was just so excited that I had to just break that thing out, build it, and prime it, and just started painting. And I broke out some stencils. And I'm doing kind of an old throwback Warlord Titan from Legio Astorum, the Warp Runners. And you remember? I mean, if you go back and look at old Titanicus, you'll see him. It's the blue with the old school flames, and I was like, I just wanted to kind of do a throwback to that model, so that's what I'm doing. I've just been super excited. Been working on it every night, 1 or 2 hours a night, and you make some good progress if you're consistent with the amount of hobby you do, And it just, like I said, half an hour here, an hour here. I may only get one panel done or just a few steps done, but you start adding it all together, it's really coming together.
Yeah. It looks really sharp, man. I like the gradient of kind of that yellow orange on your paneling. Looks ace, man. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And that I mentioned last episode, that model frustrating the hell out of me. It's a beautiful model. It is a project. You really got it. And somebody told me, "Oh, you don't have to paint it in these subs." But you can really kind of want to.
You kind of do. I mean,
if you want to get it to that level.
I've got 2 of them, and that one model it took up my entire desk with all the little panels and the paints, and it just took up my whole desk. And I was like, I do not want to lose any of these parts. So I have to put everything away in a little Tupperware
Yep.
box, when I'm not working on it, so I don't lose anything, because that would be really
That'd be bad.
For
frustrating.
sure. For sure.
I mean, and on top of that, I've had to basically repaint every panel twice because I just was not happy with. One time it was like the yellows. I had to repaint all my yellow panels again, and I had taped things off. So it was like, oh, this is a drag. I tried to just do a couple panels, and then I asked, a couple of the guys that, I talk to about hobby stuff all the time. And I was like, oh, what do you guys think? Like, you can't just do those 3 panels. You got to redo them all. And I was like, you're right. You're right. I got to redo all those panels. And then it's the next step. It's like, oh, what do you guys think about this? I'm like, yeah, it looks okay. It looks good. And then I look at it and I'm like, no, I know I can do better than that. And then it's like, okay, I got to repaint this panel now. And then it's like, oh, this OSL, that didn't work. So got to repaint that. And it's just literally, I would have had 2 Warlords painted already if it hadn't been for all these extra steps. So hopefully the next one, I've got
you got your technique down now.
I've got my technique down. So the next one will go much faster, hopefully.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Because that is it. I think the results speak for themselves, though. Like I've seen your post of it, and it is beautiful looking. So as long as you're happy with it, I mean, that really matters. You haven't even put decals on it yet, right?
No, I've been slowly working on decals. Like certain panels have decals, like the legs have them, and then one of the armor shields has decals, and then just as I finish that one panel and I'm completely then I apply decals, and then once everything's done, I'm gonna varnish it. Got it.
Okay, Lars. Last but not least,
I'll try to fill in some of the blanks as well. Actually, this last month has been a good one for hobby progress. Before that, not so much.
Okay,
a lot of purchases. Went to Dundracon last month, and I ended up picking up a full set of the miniature scenery. Oh, this stuff.
You got the
Eldar
stuff.
Miniature scenery stuff.
Yeah.
Full line.
Have you started assembling any of it yet?
No.
Let us talk before you do so.
I figured that was going to be a full project.
Because instructions, not good on them. And
what instructions?
And there are some, well, you download them, but there are some very particular things you need to pay attention to that we did not.
Okay.
And now ours looks a little different.
Oops.
It looks unique.
That's fine. That's good too. But I got that.
He's so special.
Well, listen, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus here, but a certain female that lives in this household was helping me with it and insisted that you don't think I can do this. And I said, no, I'm sure you're fine. And then we get, halfway through it, and
it's Arya,
this
isn't
is
it?
not correct.
It's
yeah, it's my dog.
She's
terrible.
All thumbs.
All thumbs.
No, but in all honesty, like I probably would have made the exact same error because the instructions are not very clear.
Yeah,
and
it's definitely a dry fit sort of project.
And many times.
Yeah.
No pun.
Make sure you know
intended.
exactly what you're doing before you glue that sucker.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like. Yeah. So I did that.
Okay, so what else?
I ran some teaching games of Kill Team for my friends, most of whom hadn't played 40K in a very long time, and they had fun.
Well, yeah, I was saying, what were their thoughts of it?
They liked it for the most part. I think I got a few more people that would be willing to jump into a game here and there. One of the guys already got rid of all of his stuff, but I gave him a bunch of vanilla Dark Angels, standard Marines, not the Primaris guys, and he just obliterated me with them setting up a gun line. So
is he now buying some? Had you convinced anybody to get into it?
I don't. I mean, the people that I convinced were already halfway there. Anyway,
Okay.
But that was fun.
We'll work on your sales technique.
Extra little nudge,
right, just an extra little nudge. And I killed off lots of Eldar doing it, so that's good. And then I had another day of Kill Team at Fault Line.
Oh, good.
So I've had good progress with that. And let's see what else. I picked up Vigilus Defiant, which I'd been waiting for a while. I finally got a copy of that.
Okay.
And just this last week, I bought a Proxon Hotwire foam cutting, like the table mount version of it.
Oh, wow.
Fancy. So the
serious
one.
Table mounted one.
Yeah, so it's like a jigsaw with like a table mount jigsaw versus a handheld jigsaw.
Oh, interesting.
So it's just got the hot wire that runs up like
Right. It's got
Interesting.
a really big C clamp on it. Like,
Oh,
you can
interesting.
you can put a full sized 2x2 sheet.
What does that thing kind of run?
$120.
Oh, that's-
Amazon. So it's not too bad.
Yeah,
not too bad.
that's-
But for what I want to put it to use for, it's if I only decided to drop on it and
You're
get it.
making terrain and that.
I'm making a bunch
of
of terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my ongoing project. It started off as D&D terrain, but it's given me ideas for 40K, like modular 40K terrain. I want to
Sure.
come up with some modular 40K stuff that won't blow away if you look at it funny, because it's all styrofoam.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I
So-
would love to. I have.
That's
some,
the
I have
pink
thoughts.
insulation foam,
Oh,
right? That you're,
that sounds good. We should talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the pink stuff.
yeah, okay.
The
Yeah,
XPS for
I
the
have
EPS.
I do have a hot wire cutter, and I've actually never used it. It's literally still sitting in the package. I do have some pink foam, but I've been using the pink foam for basing. I've just been breaking it off
Just
and
break
then
it-
using,
yeah,
using a hobby knife to cut down to like
Yeah.
the shapes that I want.
Yep.
But I've just never stepped into that.
For me, it's
I
like
need to talk to you about this.
Okay,
actually.
okay. I can send you a bunch of links because I just went hog wild on YouTube, and there's 4 or 5 really good channels on this kind of work. And
Well, you'll also hear
everything.
an interview this episode with Dave Taylor talking about not only the Armies, Legions, and Horde book that just came out, the Kickstarter delivered, now you can get the book, but their next one, which is all about terrain and terrain
neat.
building.
Oh,
That's
goodness.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no kidding.
sign me up for that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
This book is fantastic, by the way. You'll hear me talk to Dave later.
And then, of course, today someone gave me a jar of Liquitex white ink.
Oh,
So there's that. And so this is
the person that
thing
gave it
leading
to
up
you was
that
the
video-
person across the counter when you gave them money.
No, it's Steve, the guy I work with.
Oh, okay.
Because he saw
Yeah,
that
but
he
I
saw
know-
that exchange on Facebook and thought it would be funny to torment me some more.
It's awesome.
It is. Yeah. I'm
Okay,
afraid.
cool.
But yeah.
Cool. Going into hobby goals and promises, before I move on to that real quick, I just want to congratulate Mario, who is he's been working at the Games Workshop store over in
Los Gatos.
Los Gatos.
Yes.
After we lost Forrest, was the manager there. He just vanished, as far as I know. And Mario was kind of one of the guys that would help when Forrest was sick or whatever. He's a younger guy, still new into his career and stuff, and really wanted to be the manager there, and kept trying and wasn't getting the response he wanted, and he interviewed and is now going to be the manager at the Los Gatos store.
Nice.
So congratulations, Mario.
Yeah, that's
Great
Good for
guy.
him.
I mean, like, you go in there, he's engaged, he's great with people, he takes it all very seriously, and just perfect. He's exactly what they wanted. That's why I was like, boy, if they don't take you,
Yeah.
who do we write? Because we could make a letter writing campaign through the
Earl Bubble
podcast.
has spoken. He has announced
Yeah.
that Mario
will be the manager of Los Gatos. I don't understand why I wasn't on the panel of interviewers, but
Next time.
Okay, so for me, hobby goals and promises, Black Legion, man, all the way. I'm gonna get this Vigilus Shadow Spear set assembled. I'm gonna get the second set assembled by the next time we record. Probably assembled and primed. Right, that's probably as far as I'll be able to get with it realistically. But hopefully by then too, Abaddon has come out, and that one will get assembled.
Well, will you be promising to order? What was the model that dropped today?
Oh my God, what is
The
it
Lord
called?
Discordant?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Will you be promising to purchase one of those, Carl?
Okay, listen, if it's available,
not
I will.
even a-
I will have bought that thing, and I will even add that I'll probably need to buy a couple Mauler Fiends, because I've repurposed mine all to Thousand Suns at this point.
Now you're gonna buy. Is that a combo kit where you
Yeah.
get the Slaughter Fiend or Mauler Fiend?
You get Mauler Fiend or Forge Fiend.
Oh, Forge Fiend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those are easily magnetizable. Mine
Perfect.
are magnetized, so I will. I have one. I have one right now, but I think I want probably a combination of those things.
You need
I'm thinking three.
It's trifecta. You
Yeah, yeah, of
always gotta buy
course.
three of
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
That's the Justin Justin Kiefer approach,
Yeah,
right? If
absolutely.
It's good. I don't know
I
if this
need
thing's
five.
going to
It
be
works.
good, but just looking at the basic rules, I mean, just the concept of the army of this guy with a bunch of demon engines and a few troops of Chaos Space Marines, perfect.
Yeah, that's
perfect.
the Chaos Space Marine army I've wanted to see for quite some time is the Demon Engine,
Yeah.
Dark Mechanicum,
Yeah.
Chaos Space
That
Marine.
can we just talk about that model for a second? I know we normally don't talk about new releases, but
I only know one person so far who saw that model and go, I think it's just too much. And I'm like, well,
Which
This is 40K.
Maybe
This
for
is all
30K.
about too much.
maybe for 30K it's too much, but for me, this checks every box of the coolest thing
that
I've
is
ever seen.
that is pretty awesome. And I thought the Master of Possession was kind of like the best model out there for in this current way. Like, holy shit, we're not going to see anything cooler than that.
Yeah.
Hold on to your pants, kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a great figure.
When I was talking to a couple people at GW and that had been released, the Master of Possessions, and I was like, this may be one of my new favorite models for 40K. I mean, it's the Terminator Chaplain, which I had to replace because I sold mine to IPA, and then I saw that Master of Possessions, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Like, I love every piece of that model. I think it's super iconic. I think it's great. And I was telling somebody at GW, I said, this may be my new favorite model, and they go, oh yeah.
Hold
Just
your
wait
pants.
a couple weeks, and I'm like,
Oh,
like really?
man.
And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought they were talking about Abaddon, and of course, Abaddon is incredible looking.
Much,
Now I think they might have been referring to this thing.
one, maybe.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, you were saying we don't often talk about new releases, but also new releases don't usually cause 50 comment threads in our chat threads. Yeah, like everywhere on my phone today. I was in between classes and I looked at my phone and there were 50 messages. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I got online and just made
Everybody
it worse.
in the Discord channels talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere.
You're
my
like,
God.
what are you guys talking about? I'm like, going, Carl, you need to go look at this.
Yeah.
This thing is awesome.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, something like that comes out and people, I get messages from like 15, 20 people. Hey, did you see this? Yes, now I have seen this, but you guys were actually the ones that I hadn't seen it. I'm like, what's this thing you're talking about? Because it wasn't showing up as the first post on the community page. And so I had to look at the second post and I'm like, oh my God, this thing is amazing.
Yeah, it was definitely a little tough in the morning with just all the news coming in. I was like going, I'm supposed to be working, but I'm not.
Yeah. Incredible. And by all accounts, like what they indicate on the page is that there's still more releases coming. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed for Terminators. I know you're shaking your head over there, Jody, but I'm telling you, I think I please be new Terminators.
So are they going to be kind of like what are you thinking though? Are you thinking they're going to be like, buffed up Terminators and they're going to just replace the old kit?
I think they just
or is it going to
replace.
be kind of like
I'm hoping
the
they
Greater
just
Possessed?
No, I'm hoping they
guy.
just replace the whole kit. Just time to do away with
Time
the
to
kit.
do away.
Yeah. I'm really hoping, but we'll see. But I think you're going to see a couple other things that are in fine cast get committed to plastic, like
I think so.
Chaos Lord. Yeah, I mean a couple other things, but I think they'll close out the range. But boy, what would really close it out for me is Terminators. I'm just a huge Terminator fan, so there you go.
No, I do. I'm a huge Terminator fan myself.
Actually,
I've got like 25 Wolfguard Terminators.
When you talk about and you know what's interesting is when you talk about the old Space Marines, we're calling them old now, the basic Space Marine, not the Primaris Marines. I really enjoy painting Terminators way more than painting just standard Marines. Like, I don't know what it is about the scale. And now that they're Primaris, like, I've realized I really enjoy painting the Primaris Marines more than the other Marines previously. I think it's just something about that slight size difference that allows me to do a few other things that I really enjoy. So, Austin, what do you got going on?
Titanicus. I know you
Still.
guys are surprised.
No, I should be doing Titanicus because I know we want to play again, and I've got the kit sitting over there.
I'm setting up another. We're gonna set up another game with Josh, so we'll definitely let you in on it.
You let me sit there and watch as you guys play with your painted models.
Yeah. I mean, Josh has gotten some stencils for checkering, so he's gonna start knocking those out. But he's got a little bit of hobby ADD. He's kind of all over the place too sometimes.
Yeah.
But me, I want to get, a full Axiom Maniple. So, I want to get another Reaver and I want to paint up. I got that new Reaver kit with the Melta Cannon, the Chain Fist, and then just a couple more Warhounds because Warhounds, they can do some work if you let them go unmolested.
Yeah. I think the Warhounds, honestly,
you ignore them at your peril.
It's funny. I saw that note where you said, I'm going to pay a couple Warhounds and the new Reaver Titan. And I didn't know at first you were talking about Adeptus Titanicus. I'm like, how much time does this guy have?
How much money does he have?
I'm making it rain.
Making it rain, baby.
Little tiny robots.
Jody.
So I'm gonna unpack and set up my new hobby space.
So next
And sort your Marines.
we're gonna.
Actually, my buddy who I've been trying to convert, actually, I'm going to claim his hobby progress. So my buddy Matt, who I talked about last time, had started joining me on the Small War Thursdays and started playing Kill Team.
Right.
Just told me the other day at work, he was like, yeah, I've got like 50 something of my Gene Stealer Cultist pretty much done.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I did. I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, no, like I had a lot of grading, and then for breaks in between grading, when I was at home, I just go down and I'd paint for a couple hours, and I just face.
Those are super detailed models.
Yeah,
and
this is all
details,
brand.
guys.
This is brand new to him. Like he learned to paint. Like last year, he was like, what's this about? Because he saw I was painting board game stuff.
Right.
So he's off and running. So he's going to actually come over tomorrow after we get off work and help me unpack our office.
Awesome.
That will also combo as our game room. So I'm hopeful to have by the end of the month, maybe not next time we record, but my room unpacked. And I have to readjust. My wife got a new job, so I'm going to have to move to a mobile hobby center. And I think that's something I will kind of share with folks as I work through that, because I've had a dedicated hobby zone for years. So switching to she needs a home office, and we just don't have the space to have both. So I'm going to create some kind of mobile system, and I know a lot of people struggle with that. So as I live through that process, I'll share with folks about what I've come up with and what I've done, because I have some ideas about how to make that accessible.
Very cool. Very cool.
But once I do actually get back to my normal hobby goals and whatnot, in the back of my mind, I've really, really, really wanted to do a Crimson Slaughter Chaos Space Marine Force for a little while. They were the antagonists of the Dark Vengeance set. Am I remembering that right?
No, that's correct.
That's right.
7th edition.
And the new Chaos Space Marine models, I've had actually some of the Dark Vengeance Chaos Space Marine models, the Chosen, and then the new Shadow Spear models. I'm going to blend those together and initially just get a kill team done.
Nice.
But I've also noticed I haven't seen a whole lot in the way of Chaos Space Marine kill teams on the table. So that's always a strong motivator for me, is if I'm seeing
part
some
of it is
iconic
there's a lot stronger armies in that.
Right.
That's what's really driving it. Yeah.
I think there's some things that can be done with cultists actually with that list that may be very functional. So anyway, so that'll be, I think, my first real foray in my new house, and then just focus on doing a Crimson Slaughter Chaos Space Marine kill team. So I think that'll be next.
Okay, and Lars.
I am going to choose a new Harlequin commander for my kill team, because Death Jesters, not that good.
Not getting it for you.
I mean, I painted one up because I'd already had it kind of half painted, and assembled and half painted, and I had it on a nice base and everything. I wanted to try it out because Shrieker ammunition. I mean, what is more fun than shooting somebody, blowing them up, and having their body shrapnel kill the people standing next to them? That's all I want. I just want to shoot one guy and have him blow up and kill some of his friends, and then I can put the model away and forget about it. But he was just terrible.
Not dark or anything like that.
Lars, a man of modest needs.
I have modest needs. That's something they introduced back
That's
in
all
the
I want.
back
I
in
just
the.
want I just want that guy to die and kill his friends next to him.
That's all I want. Just one thing. But that's kind of hard to do with basically a one-shot shuriken cannon. So, so that's one thing I'm going to do, and then I'm going to keep on the terrain track and get more familiar with the new foam cutter when it comes in. So
very cool.
I don't want to overcommit.
Very cool. So as far as games played goes, again, this has been a fairly light couple weeks for me. I've played no 40K in the last 2 weeks. The only thing that's come close is I played Space Hulk Deathwing on the PC with Aaron, which I still think is a fun game. It's enhanced edition. They kind of redid the whole thing, but it's not for everybody. But boy, Aaron and I, it's not for us either, because it's good. It's good, but it is hard. We really need a third or fourth player to help.
Does the NPC not help at all? They're just kind of just useless.
When you're playing multiplayer, you don't have access to them.
Oh.
So wait, now is this the turn-based one or is this
No,
the,
no.
No,
It's
it's
the
a live
first-person
action.
shooter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it is.
okay.
It is. I really enjoy it. I love the atmosphere. I love all it.
It's very dark,
but it's
which
hard.
It's cool.
Yeah, but it's hard. Anyway, that's about as close as I came to playing Jody.
That's about 10 times more than I did. So yeah, my notes literally just say nope.
Austin.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a while since I've been on, so and I've only really played that one game of Titanicus with with the group. And
Yeah, you weren't here to really talk about that. That was a fun day, though.
That was a really fun game, and it was like, oh, nothing's really dying, and then turn 3, just mayhem, and then we're getting epic explosions.
and
It was awesome.
Once those Titans explode, oh my God, you do not want to be near them.
Yeah, that was very cool. It's like, oh no, what's gonna happen on this chart? And it's like 10. What's happened here? Oh my Lord!
It was, and the funny part about it was, it would blow up. The person who was losing it was cheering it would blow up. Even the people who got caught in the explosion were cheering just because it was so cool. It was really, really fun. And I'm glad we had Josh here that day. Not Jody, but Josh.
Yeah.
Because Josh actually knew the rules really well. You knew them pretty well as well. But between the two of you, like the rest of us, nobody else knew what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, we ran into some weird rules interactions.
That's what I said,
but,
yeah.
we kind of cleared them
But
up.
I mean, by the time we finished the first round, you're like, okay, I got it.
I feel like once you got through the first round, everything kind of went much faster.
Yeah.
And I definitely think we need to play with the advanced rules because
there's
I feel like
pieces
there's
missing,
a lot more to the game tactically,
especially
with
charges.
Yes.
Yeah. But I completely agree. But I'm glad we did just like the basic rules initially, just to get the feel of it. But if you've played a miniature war game before, this is not much of a leap.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not a very big leap.
Once you start playing, you're like, oh. In fact, I believe that the rules, the way they're written, are actually more complex than actually playing the game itself, because they're trying to account for a lot of things. But if you're just reading it, you're like, wow, there's a lot to this. No, there really isn't. It really isn't. Just start playing it. You'll see. It'll all work out. So, and Lars.
Like I said, I played probably 5 or 6 games of Kill Team over the last month, and that's mostly it. Actually, the teaching games were fun because it forced me to learn the rules more completely, because I was teaching a new player how to do them. It's like they say, if you want to learn how to do something really well, teach it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that kind of got me in the mood to get back into that and maybe play something with Farseer or Shadowseer, because there's this whole other phase in Kill Team called the Psychic phase. Did you guys know this?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I know it because I play Thousand Suns.
Well, you play Thousand Suns, yeah.
Yeah, I thought Carl was just making it up.
Are you not interested in the solitaire, or is that not an HQ choice you can take?
By the way, the minute I lose
no, you
my
can't.
sorcerer,
Not yet.
I'm in
But
trouble.
we'll see. With the elites
With the
coming out,
elites,
we'll see.
okay.
If the elites coming out, I think that would be your entire list, would be the solitaire. I think that there are certain units that just aren't going to make it into that book, and that's one of them. Just because it's like putting jet bikes into Kill Team. I move across the board and I
I
shoot
think it's
you.
going to be very select. I am interested in the fact that they're adding elites to it. I think that's a great step.
I think I think I would have expected them to do the elites before we saw Commander in a weird
Yes, I
way.
agree.
Yeah.
So I am not hugely impressed with Commander. I haven't played
It's
it,
all right.
but every time I read through it, I go, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not driven to play it.
Yeah, this doesn't. But Elite, one of the first things I think I said about Kill Team is I want to face off against one of the Adeptus Mechanicus robots.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they're
yeah.
and then that's the person's kill team. Like my kill team versus
the Castellan robot.
Yeah, versus your Castellan robot. Let's do that. That
Right,
sounds awesome.
Am I right there? The Castellan robot, the punchy.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Danger
Iron
Will
Man.
Robinson.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Danger Will Robinson. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I'm very curious to see what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Balance is my key thing with that. I mean, I really, it's fun to play as it is right now. I don't want them to mess that up. But I'm sure they got people looking at it. They got play testers testing it.
From
It'll
my
be great.
experience so far, Commander is pretty balanced.
Yeah, it is.
They
I
balanced
just-
everything
it just
out
does-
for me, but it's all one model.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So, okay. So what we'll do now is I'm going to take a short break from this. You're going to hear me talking to Skari from the Skaredcast and his YouTube channel for a bit, kind of an introductory piece, because he's got some input
into the rest of the show as we kind of move into the Warrior Lodge, at least the first half of the Warrior Lodge. So I think you guys will really like that. But I have a short introduction of Skari, and then we will take a short break, and then we will kick off the Warrior Lodge. So we'll be right back. All right, and so as a special guest host this episode, we thought we would bring on somebody that many of you may already know. Welcome, Skari, to the show. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you for having me on the show.
If people don't know who you are, which would surprise me, but if they don't know who you are, let's talk a little bit about your YouTube channel. What is it you do on your YouTube channel?
Well, I do mostly Drukhari-based content. I do battle reports, tactical videos, and I do a lot of hobby videos on Twitch as well now. But if somebody hasn't seen me before, they basically are looking at mostly a dark kin sort of focus on most of the stuff that I do with that sort of like bias or lens to some of the like content. So even though I do touch on various different subjects, it's normally from that perspective.
So I imagine you and Brian Harvey of the Splinter Mind get along just fine.
Well, yeah, Splinter Mind and us, we get along fantastically. And the Dark Eldar are essentially my love, my passion, in a very dark and brooding way.
Well, that's fantastic. So I've watched your show quite frequently, actually. You often have people that you are playing against, and you're doing battle reports and that kind of thing. Are these people part of kind of your normal gaming group, or how are you pulling them into your show?
A lot of them are local gamers or folks that I have met, like locally. Some of them are folks that I've never met before that I end up, going to meet them, or they come to meet me. But it's I try and vary it as much as I can in terms of not only the opponents that I'm facing, but also the different armies and perspectives to the game that we showcase. Sure,
because the variety helps a lot too. The other battle report I just watched that I thought was pretty interesting was you playing the Game of Thrones miniature game, where you were playing, I think, Lannisters, and your opponent was playing the Night's Watch. And man, those models were painted beautifully. Those are incredible looking models, by the way. I saw them at Adepticon, I think 2 years ago. And incredible.
It was the Cool Mini or Not. They had the Kickstarter, I believe, for a Song of Ice and Fire, which is like the name of the game itself.
Yeah. How do you like that game?
I was playing Vince, who's like the store owner of like the main friendly local gaming store here, and it's always nice to test and like showcase different games, because Warhammer and Games Workshop make fantastic miniatures. I love the game, but there are a lot of different games out there that might appeal to a variety of different people, and I don't mind like stimulating my gaming senses with like a different format or a different game style to keep things fresh and to basically fire off those brain neurons that don't get fired off by playing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should switch it up and move away from Eldar. I'm just saying, just a suggestion. Chaos is very inviting.
I do play my Black Templars every once in a while. Okay.
Okay. So there are, when people come to me and they're like, I'm going to do a 40K podcast, and I say, okay, well, how are you going to differentiate yourself from the myriad of podcasts that are out there right now? How does your YouTube channel differentiate itself from the ton of other gaming YouTube channels that are out there?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I was just talking about this with my brother the other day. One of the things that does differentiate what I do specifically is the positive air that basically comes out of the channel. Everything is done with that like positive light. Yeah. And secondly, it is focused mostly on Dark Eldar, which does sort of give me sort of like a niche market. So even though I'm not necessarily the biggest, most watched YouTube channel on YouTube in terms of gaming, that if you want good Dark Eldar content, you can always look me up specifically.
Perfect. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I the positivity thing is the thing that I noticed right away as I watched your show. Obviously, that that's kind of been our shtick for a long time too. We
100%. It's so important when we spend so much money, time, and effort playing the games that we play. And life is too short to be like grumpy about everything.
Man, you're preaching to the choir right here. So that's amazing. I noticed also you, like myself, and mine's very, very recent. You have a Patreon going. What is it you want to, achieve through the Patreon thing?
So I currently do content creation full time. Thank you to the Patreon.
Wow.
So. Yes, so the channel, the content creation, me going to events, showcasing is all thanks to the Patreon family, the Denizen family that is kind of rallied behind the content that I create. And it's awesome. It's a like-minded, growing global community, but that is the focus. Originally was just to supplement my hobby, and about 5 months ago, I decided to jump into it full time.
Wow.
And essentially pursue not only content creation. I'm not like a professional gamer. Like, I'm good at the game, and I do relatively okay when I go to events at a like high level, international level. But it was more to create entertainment for people and to teach, right? Mm-hmm. So I do offer like a coaching service, which I see like 5 clients at a time. And that's full right now, but I also do like list building and things like that. Sure. But it's mostly people who get together, like what I do, they'd like to see more, and that's essentially the premise of it.
Nice.
And I couldn't be more thankful for folks that enjoy what I do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, congratulations on being able to do this full time. It's I think a lot of people dream about doing that. For me, it was funny at Las Vegas Open, not this year, but last year, I sat on a panel, and the panel got asked that question: if you could do this, full time as your career, would you do it? And I said, nope, absolutely not. And people, oh, why not? Well, I live in the Bay Area. Work in the tech industry, salaries are quite competitive out here, and this, unless I don't know how big I would have to hit it with this show for me to step away from it, but it'd have to be pretty big. But man,
well, that is very true. It always hinges on like a tipping point. It comes to a point where if you jump in at 2 feet, being an entrepreneur or being someone who wants to do something or pursue a passion. Yeah. Normally you do that passion as a hobby, or you do it on the side. And eventually it can take up enough of your time that it kind of teeters on that tipping point where you can either choose to continue what you're doing, and it's probably never going to go further than that, or you can jump in with 2 feet and take that risk.
Yeah.
And I was at that point where I had run a marketing and sales firm for 6 years and decided to shut that down and essentially just do my own thing from home, really, and get to meet people and travel and just really just soak up life and spend more time with my kid, which I think was the biggest thing for me.
That is fantastic. Well, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
So if people want to, we're going to launch into the kind of forum segment of the show here in just a minute. But if people want to go see your work on YouTube or anywhere else, where should they be going?
So you go to YouTube is probably the easiest. You can find everything on one of my YouTube videos, like all the links and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just Skaredcast on YouTube. That's Skaredcast.
Perfect.
Skaredcast on YouTube.
Well, I'll definitely put a link in our show notes to it, but I think most people will be able to find it pretty easily.
Even with a C, if you don't know that it's with a K.
People spell independent sometimes with an A. For the and one of our listeners actually went and bought the domain name with an A. and it says, there's like a commissar comes up when you go to it with an A,
funny.
and says, I think you're looking for the independent characters. It's pretty
That's
funny.
funny.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna bring you back after we kind of go through some of these questions, and we'll get your opinion on and your take on these topics that we've come up with. So we'll hear from you again in just a minute.
Let's dive right in.
Great Scott, 00. Foam Finger's destroying all the models with his rough touch.
Oh, Mullins Penny. Don't you worry. John is on the case.
How is that, John?
I'm going to warn the world that they should be using the soft blue foam with the hard cases. Foam Finger will never ruin another model again.
You mean Operation KR? Is the world ready for that, John?
The world is ready. I'll make sure of it. The only way is to spoil Foam Finger's plans.
Hard cases with the soft foam is the only answer. You've convinced me, John. Let's move forward with Operation KR.
The name's Jond. Jimmy Jond.
Oh, John. See? Give 00 John the figures for this mission.
Go to krmulticase.com for some of the best storage and transport solutions for your army. Match almost limitless combinations of cases and trays in the KR transport system to suit your personal requirements. Reasonably priced, KR allows you to transport your minis safely to and from the tabletop, no matter where that battlefield is.
Hard on the outside, soft in the middle. KR Cases is where John always gets his foam. KR hard cases for soft blue foam.
All right, and we are back, and we're now launching into the Warrior Lodge segment where we have questions that I'm going to pose to my illustrious panel here.
Sorry.
Are they
They
coming
come in
now?
later.
Okay.
And these are topics that have either been on the top of my mind, I'm seeing around the community, or within our Facebook group. But this is more of a moderated discussion about what our thoughts, kind of in the folks involved in our gaming group, are thinking about these things. So the first thing I want to talk about, and we kind of alluded to it earlier because I have the preview copy here, but let's talk about Shadow Spear, because this is a pretty large release for Games Workshop. What is it that excites you about this box? And also, now that Abaddon is coming out, what do you want to see for Primaris Space Marines or Chaos? Now that we're kind of seeing, and I wrote this question obviously before the
Lord
What's
Discordant.
Lord Discordant came
Lord
out.
Discordant.
Lord
Yeah.
Discordant came
Lord
out.
Discordant.
So, okay, now we've seen this, the Lord Discordant and Abaddon. What else do we want to see other than Terminators that we talked about earlier?
That we don't want to see. Oh wait, Carl wants to see.
Let's start with Jody. Let's start with Lars on this one.
Okay. And now I'm, little preamble. I'm not a guy who gets excited about Chaos and
Get
Space
out.
Marines. I'm just saying.
Get out.
But I really like the stuff that I've seen coming out of this. I like the updates to Black Legion, and I like the new, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually am beginning to really like Primaris Marines. I didn't before.
Now, you have effectively 2 armies at this point, correct?
Pretty much. I have 3, but the third one never really gets played, and that's Dark Angels.
Okay. That was
just-
kind of that
it's-
was one. What's the other one?
Eldar, Harlequins. Oh, and I've got a bunch of Corsairs too. So okay,
I guess Harlequins are the main.
Harlequins the main one right now. I was kind of throwing some shade at Primaris Marines before, because when they introduced them, they kind of started with Dark Angels Primaris Marines, and I'm like, I don't see those paranoid screwheads ever allowing outsiders in like that. They've changed the lore a little bit on them, so that now you can upgrade existing Marines to Primaris.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Oh, they're still getting new guys.
But
how do they indoctrinate them? Is the other?
That story arc will be fascinating
I think
for the
that's-
Dark Angels.
I think that
Yep.
offers a lot of potential.
So, like, I'm
Some
really
of them
liking
might
the
meet with
suppressors. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to
think
use
it
them
will.
as meat shields until they run out of the ones that were sent out there, and then say, okay, now everybody gets an upgrade. And I
not an
like
easy
them.
upgrade, though.
Yeah, it kills them.
No,
The upgrade kills you.
so
And they bring it back.
but yeah, I've really been liking the new stuff that's coming out from Primaris. The suppressors with the autocannons. Oh my god,
You like those
I
guys.
really like those
I
models.
like those
adore
guys too.
those
I
models.
love-
They alone make me and I feel like I say this every show, but I don't mind. I'm going to keep saying it. I don't care for regular Marines, vanilla Marines. They're not my jam. They haven't been for a long time.
Yeah.
The painting of them is the number one reason I could give zero cares about Marines. The Primaris stuff, there is something about that aesthetic that really speaks to me. And yeah, the accelerator autocannons, the suppressors with accelerator autocannons.
Yeah.
I wish I could put my finger on what it is about
They're glitter
them that
boys.
Just
Oh, from Rifts.
From Rifts. They're glitter boys.
maybe.
Yeah.
And is that the gun? There's a Gundam
That
something.
and the thing is, I
knew what
got
you were
there.
Half the
right.
people listening to this podcast are like, "What's that? Is that from before 1999?"
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
powered assault armor with a really big gun,
Right.
And they can fly around and stuff. They're super cool.
Yeah.
I make no bones about it.
It's kind of so in a weird tangential but relevant was this idea of when it comes to the world of fantasy, not sci-fi, but fantasy worlds, I fall into one of two camps. Either give me very low, gritty, dark fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, where somebody lights a pine cone on fire. That's magic. Ooh, that does it for me. Or I want Age of Sigmar, like
Super
there are
high
gods
fantasy.
walking our planets, shooting lightning bolts out their arse. Thank you, William Wallace. Like that. It's one or the other. If you land in between Forgotten Realmsian, where like on every shop, street corner, there's a magic shop, I yawn at you. I'm like, this does nothing for me. The Primaris Marines, I think there is something about the suppressors with accelerator autocannons that go to 11 so aggressively that I just,
Yeah. I didn't,
interesting.
because the original ones didn't move me at all. Like the guys with it's like they took two heavy bolters, guns akimbo. And it's something that didn't look right, but these guys look right.
yeah.
I will say, first off, they come with the terrible flying stands. Those flying
That
stands
could
are
be
not
fixed.
good.
I haven't messed with them yet.
Okay. They're
Yeah,
not good.
I've
That
yet
could
to
be
play with
fixed.
some, but
All I would say is I would mount them on I'd mount them differently. I'd find another way to mount them.
Yeah.
Is my chief complaint about them. Austin.
my take on those suppressors are, I also really like them. There's just certain aspects that aren't doing it for me. You know, mainly it's the backpack. It just seems really small. It's like I have like these little, jets hooked up to my calves, and then I got an extra ports and a little vein on the back, and you're supposed to be supporting this autocannon and jumping around. I'm like, I would have thought it would have been a little bit bigger, kind of like the interceptors, like that size backpack. That makes sense to me. And if I were to do them, I would use the intercessor or the interceptor backpacks, the bigger ones.
Gotcha.
And these are the guys that drop in from orbit, I guess. So,
Okay.
And I kind of like the helm too. I would want to mix and match those two kits together to get these suppressors versus
Interesting.
what they look like now.
Okay. Jody,
But
what
I
else?
do like the big gun.
What else are you looking forward to?
So moving forward, I think it's great to see some long overdue Chaos Space Marines. About time. Now, to be fair, like I'm not underwhelmed because they're what I wanted them to look like, but there's nothing there that really makes me go, wow, I didn't expect that. Like they look exactly as I expected, and in a weird way that I almost feel like these days that's a miss for GW when they do exactly what I wanted. I'm like, well, yeah, but what else did you always exceed my dreams?
But
and
what else?
You've only
but what
met
else are
my
you gonna
dreams
do?
this time.
Well, here's the Lord Discordant for you.
So yeah, so you asked, so what would we like to see next? And holy geez balls, I want to see demon engines.
Cheese balls.
And it's a thing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
it
see before the Lord Discordant, when we were writing up our show notes, I'm like, give me demon engines. I want renegades and demon engines.
Right.
And
Guess
oh my
what?
God, today they were like, well,
Here, let me turn it up to 11.
yeah, let me exceed your dreams, turn it to 11. Here's an HQ on a really badass demon engine.
Yeah.
Check this out. And I was like, okay, here. I did. Thank you. I'm going to go sit down now. Yeah, so I want.
posted on the Warhammer community Facebook page. I said, not ours, the actual Warhammer one. I said something like, I want whoever sculpted that to have my baby.
Dude, that's going to be an ugly baby. Yeah, no, this was
Extra arms, tentacles.
I want to see more demonic influence coming into our Chaos Space Marines. My giving you a little bit of grief about the not wanting Terminators is I've never been a huge fan of like Chaos Space Marines are bad guys, and you can tell because they have spikes.
Right, I agree with you.
I'm like, no, that make them different. And the more demonic stuff, the greater possessed, the new obliterators. I'm really anxious to get my hands on firsthand because my gut says that's a paint job that wasn't helping the model. Mm-hmm. You can see what everything is, but I think there's another direction to go with those paint jobs. But yeah, those demon infused to iconic models like the Galvor Bach.
Yeah.
If that's the direction Chaos Space Marines are going, hey, look, I guess my demons just got some allies.
Yeah, well, we did see as well the greater possessed. I mean, the Venom Crawler thing.
Which I love.
Yeah, oh my God, it's a good time to be a Chaos player.
I mean, I know a lot of people are hating on that thing, but I mean, you cannot hate on how cool it is. They're hating on the rules. You know?
I haven't even looked.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, whatever, the rules. I'm like, I'm in this game for the aesthetic, and like, these are really cool models, and that Venom Crawler is pretty cool.
Well, but now you stick that
with what is it?
How come I can't remember this guy's name?
Lord Discordant.
Lord Discordant. Now you stick a Lord Discordant next to him. Maybe they're not quite as bad.
The knock I've seen is people going like, well, it just looks like a spider. I'm like, if you got spiders like that in your house, you need to call somebody. Just move. That is there was a spider in the room, so I burned the house down. Like, totally. Yes, if that's what your spiders look like.
If it's got a heavy stubber on its back.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of there.
Pissed off spider.
Austin, you have anything you want to add there? Or are you all set?
I mean, I just really like the new Vanguard guys. All the Primaris stuff. I mean, with this new release,
Phobos armor,
the Phobos armor. But I like the sniper dudes and the cloaks, the Eliminators. Yeah. It's very very current military-esque, right? You got the night vision goggles, the pouches, all the tactical gear, the cloaks, the ghillie suits, and so this new release is just like, oh man, maybe I really should, hit up a Primaris army. But I do want to talk about what chapter to do, because I don't want to do more Space Wolves, and I don't want to paint white again.
Dark Angels.
So yeah, I need to decide on a chapter to do.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna pump them into my Minotaurs chapter. So.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
It's funny your reaction to the sniper cloak. I don't remember what they're called. Eliminators is
I actually like that name.
You're actually so far. I think I do. All the Primaris names I like quite a bit.
I get a little confused with the intercessors and interceptors.
Fair enough, but I don't know. There's something linguistic about the way they're naming things that jives for me.
Eliminator works. So.
The Eliminators. I don't care for them for exactly what you described about the suppressors. Like, there's something about it that just throws off my suspension of disbelief, even though it's grounded in like very realistic military, that these guys have cloaks and snipers. But I'm like, they're Marines. Why would they need any of that stuff? They have like the best armor in the universe, short of being a Necron.
Well, because this Phobos armor is lighter.
Mm-hmm. And they're working deep behind enemy lines, laying traps.
So are Reavers.
And
Who? Well, Who? Yeah.
So anyway, it's just interesting that like it's the same. That doesn't totally jive, but I mean, it's the aesthetic, right? I mean, in the end,
for me, I don't know rules wise, but I think fluff wise, it makes sense for me as a Dark Angels player, because I would see, okay, we're going to take these expendables that our Uncle Roboot gave us and have them go scout this area out, and we're going to have the Deathwing and Ravenwing in reserve, and once they figure out where the guy is and all the Vanguard guys are dead, then we're going to sweep in and get the guy that we're after. From that viewpoint, it makes sense. And we're going to, do a little performance assessment of these
really
new guys.
reinforcing the Dark Angels as chaos.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I want you to know that.
Not at all.
I've been waiting for this release forever.
A long time.
I kind of got an inkling of it and said, I'm going to hold off on these Black Legion guys. I've been kit bashing together with Cromlech parts and all these other things, and they look good, but they don't look that good. And so one of the things I really appreciate about the kit is that you're not effectively, for those Chaos Space Marines, you get 10 Chaos Space Marines. You are not getting 5 sets of 2 of each type. You're not getting 5 of. I totally
2 sets of 5 guys.
You're not getting 2 sets of 5 guys. Thank you. Jeez,
Math. I'm good at it.
It's hard. Each one is unique looking.
Yeah.
As far as I could tell when I was looking at the fold out from it. So I'm very excited that getting a second set of those is not going to look so bad.
Right.
Like I'm not just going to wind up with 4 of each kind. And I seriously debated a third set at that point, but I kind of want to hold off and see if they maybe come out with another kit of them.
Oh, I
A
think
different
that's
like multi-part plastic
Yeah,
kit. That
or
would
something.
be I mean that would be my concern is like owning 2 boxes of those guys because
Yeah.
I mean they are a monopose kit.
Yeah.
And that does it takes away from me. I don't like 2 guys looking exactly the same.
Agreed.
I would have to like chop something off or like I would have to make it look a little bit different, at least a tiny bit different.
I don't think I have to, but I'll wait for a third set to then mix in, and then I think it'll be so infrequent and so spread around that you don't really notice it. So
I'm
that'll
sure
work
you
for
won't
me.
see, even with like doubles. I'm sure you're not going to really see it on the
Once
table.
you're actually playing, you don't really pay that close attention to. Oh,
No,
look at that guy's in the same position
But-
as that guy.
But when they're sitting in your Detolf there and
Yeah.
you're looking at them every day, it's a different story.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say one of the things about those Chaos Space Marines that are dropping here, they're in much more open poses than traditional Loyalist
Yes.
Marines. They have their arms kind of out and flailing, a little more dynamic. Kit bashing on those guys, I think, is going to be pretty easy. A swap of a chainsword here and a bolt pistol
Agreed.
should be a pretty easy task to get even a little further variety. I mean, is
But where am I going to find bits for Chaos Space Marines? Oh, wait. I've got bajillions
bits.
of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have all the bits.
Well, do you think the scale will work? I mean, it should
You
work.
could probably get away with it on like bolt pistols or bolters, that kind of thing. I mean, I think
I'm going to
you can
go
make it
Harvey
work.
here. Chain axes for everybody.
Chain axes would be cool, though. I agree with you. That would look really, really cool. So, anyway, I'm super excited about every aspect of this. And the new Abaddon, I cannot wait to get my hands on them. The one thing that I kind of went back and forth on was the trophy rack on his back.
Not
And
the
that's-
top knot?
That the top knot's staying this
All right.
time. If you chop that thing off, I'm telling you, he loses his effectiveness on the table. I learned my lesson the first time.
the Samson effect.
That's
I
true.
do like
yeah,
that he
yeah.
has different heads that you can choose from.
Yeah.
I obviously you can have him without the cloak if you want, but why would you do that?
Yeah.
Because he's awesome. But villains have to have cloaks.
Mwahaha.
And again, that trophy rack, that's the thing I'm probably going to steer away from. I'm going to do a banner, and that's what I was talking about. having Jeremy commission him to do. I'm going to put it on copper so that it's bent but sturdy, as you were talking about. I don't like the paper as well. There was somebody on our Facebook group who showed how to make those banners using brass rod and copper or tin to make those. And I think it'll just be amazing. It'll look really, really dark. I'm just super excited about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that Abaddon model too. I mean, I have a Gilliman model also,
Yeah.
and it's just been sitting in a box. I don't have Ultramarines. I bought the boxes. I just thought it was a really cool model, and then now there's this. I'm like, oh, you know what? This could be a diorama.
Yeah, for sure.
Those 2 guys, facing off, and they have, I think they have the right poses for it.
Yep.
And so
Almost intentionally so.
Yeah, almost intentionally, right? So I'm looking into it and buying that model because, it's it's an iconic model
Yeah.
in the the 40K lore and universe, and it's just a really, really cool model.
Yeah.
And
For me right now, it's just about nailing my recipe for painting black. I got to get a fast recipe for painting black that looks good and does what I want it to do, and then I'm gonna do the airbrushing base coat aspect and fades all at once across the whole thing, and then start working on the detail stuff. So
Maybe there's an ink for that.
oh, I'm certain there is. I'm most certain. I'm almost positive I can figure that part out. Okay. Everybody said their piece about that. I think we're all on board. It's freaking fantastic.
Here's a shoegazing question for people, since they seem to be replacing or coming up with analogs for all the standard Marine lines with new Primaris models. What about What about bikes? Are they going to replace bikes or introduce some sort
I
of
don't
bike-based
know, right?
thing? What's that going to look like?
When I saw you put this in the show notes, I like the way you just phrased it, a shoegazing question, because I did go,
As a modeler, how does that work?
You're one about a rhino equivalent. And in a weird way, I don't want to see that. And I know that probably sounds strange, but again, it's this notion of if Marines are as hardcore as they say they are, and for once as Primaris, they feel like they're hardcore.
This is a big deal.
I mean, playing now Kill Team both with and against Primaris Marines, they don't die. They just keep
really
coming.
hard to kill.
Then why would they need a tank? Like, the necessity of a transport tank is so limited. I guess long-term, like trekking for miles, but they could just run.
Look, we've all seen the Ultramarine movie. Right. Clearly, they can walk a long
Clearly, they can walk. Your notion of bikes, I think a combat land speeder or something like that. I'm
Something
really
like that.
curious to see of a fast attack beyond the interceptors.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But something beyond that, a little bit of a heavy fire sport thing, that would be really interesting. Some kind of
A gunboat. It's kind of what you're thinking.
Gunboat.
yeah,
Yeah.
but a
A
little
chopper.
more nimble than an actual flyer. Somewhere in between, like a land speeder. I mean, just that in between place seems like something that might be an interesting direction. I don't know that I want to see them on bikes though. Here's a big
They
motorcycle.
seem pretty fast. I don't know if that's the word I want to use, but they seem pretty agile overall.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll see them on jet bikes or something along those
Really,
lines.
you don't think so? I mean,
I don't
if
know.
you notice,
Well-
you've got the repressor, right, and that's grav technology, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm,
this is what I'm saying.
I'm definitely thinking, if they do bikes, it's gonna
I
be
think
a
they're
jet
going to
bike.
do away with the Judge Dredd type bikes.
Yeah,
and it would
definitely.
be a jet bike type
Oh, that'll
of
be a
thing.
sad day for
Yeah.
me. I love those bikes.
Oh, yeah?
I love those bikes.
We'll
I
be
love those
around
old school bikes.
with regular Marines for a long
That's
time.
true.
For probably another 7 or so
Yep.
years.
Yep.
That's my guess.
I think you got some time to enjoy your Raven Guard.
Ah, good.
Yeah.
Or whatever. they're
Ravenwing.
called.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
I mean, it fundamentally changes, some core concepts of groups too, like White Scars, right? They're
Right.
known for riding the bike. So I suspect we start to see a move towards like jet bikes or that kind of thing.
guess
but
we'll
that's just a guess on my part.
We'll have to see what 9th edition brings, because right now it's Deep Strike is just you're there, boom,
Yeah.
and you can just show up wherever you need to be.
Yep.
So you don't really
As long
have
as
to
you're
worry
9
about
inches away from
getting
anybody
there
else.
as much. Right. But I don't know, just something that occurred.
Yeah, the notion of what do their transports start looking like and feel like, and I think maybe that's more what I went, what would that feel like for these guys other than a super heavy blow you off the table tank?
I guess the one
Which they do have.
I guess the one issue I really have with it is, and again, I'm okay with them advancing the storyline as they've done. I'm very happy with that, but it's supposed to feel even worse for the Imperium now. Yet all this new technology keeps suddenly appearing.
We're saved.
and it's feeling like almost like, well, are they in the midst of some technical revolution? Because I thought they were supposed to be on their back heels now. I like the idea of things breaking down and them using the armor that they lost before and replacing that armor. And I mean, they can treat it somewhat like a Age of Sigmar thing. Well, they open these vaults on Mars that have been locked away and hidden. Oh, look, fresh armor. I don't know, but I
I was
think
wondering
it
where
takes
I put those.
I think it takes away a little. I was wondering where we. I think
that happens to us all the time.
I know.
You,
As
you
you
open
get
up the door
older-
like going,
Oh, there's
wow,
those
look
Forge
at
World
that. It's a
500-year-old
Conceptor
tech
Dread.
priest. Oh yeah.
as there's one sitting over there. I saw you looking.
Oh wait, hey, there's a Spartan tank. I totally forgot I bought in that.
Look, it happens to the best of us. And if you're 10,000 years old, it probably happens. A little differently. But I do feel like it takes a little bit away from the feeling of the Imperium collapsing, right? And So I think they just have to treat the lore with care in that case.
I don't know about that. I mean, because I mean, you look at the Germans, right? Towards end of World War II,
Yeah.
they're still pumping out all this,
Super
the jet
high-tech.
fighters, right?
The
It's
comet, yeah.
It's like, oh, these are like the last desperate gambit. We're trying to pump out this technology to try to save us.
Austin, that is an excellent,
That's a good
excellent
point.
point.
You had
Yeah.
the super subs that never really
Yeah.
made it. They converted them into cargo ships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That is a
a good
fantastic
point.
real life
Yep.
comparison,
Yep.
actually. So yeah, especially the jet fighter, right?
Right.
I mean, the Americans saw that, they thought, "What is this?"
Messerschmitt.
Well, I mean, they shot them all. I mean, they didn't really shoot them down. They shot them on the ground because
Yeah.
they couldn't catch them in the air.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, and I got to kill the Messerschmitt. It was on the ground. It
Or
never
like,
left the,
what's the
never
little-
left the runway.
The little rocket propelled one, the Comet.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
figured out the only defense was it's like as soon as you see one, you just start flying around like this, like a fly, basically, and because they only have 30 seconds of fuel.
Yeah.
Just whoa.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's see what Skari has to say about this.
I was at LVO when they released the pictures
Yeah.
for the new Shadow Spear set.
Yeah.
And I was sold as soon as I saw Primaris snipers.
They are so good looking, dude.
They look awesome.
Yeah.
With their camo cloaks and their great big sniper rifles, have different forms of ammunition. Essentially, I was sold at that. I thought the Librarian was fantastic. So, what do I think about Shadow Spear? The models are incredible. They're highly detailed. They're they just ooze like character. Not only on the Space Marine side, we have a new series of Primaris Marines based around the Gravis strike armor and like more of that Vanguard, first to the foe sort of feel, but also the Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
The Venom Crawler is a cool new like Walker tank. You have the Master of Possession.
Yeah.
Fantastic looking kit. Like the actual sprue for it is amazing.
Now, at the point we're recording this, it has not been released publicly yet. Your show and mine get preview copies to kind of look at and examine them. Have you assembled that Venom Crawler yet or anything?
I haven't assembled any of the models yet.
Okay.
I feel like I'll be doing one of the new Obliterators first.
Yeah, so good.
Because I want I want to paint it and I'm going to get it on the Paint the Hobby Twitch stream.
Oh, gotcha.
And we have a segment called Just Put Paint on It.
Yeah,
and
that's a great title.
And that's exactly what I want to do because those new Obliterators look awesome.
They're so good, and the greater possess. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, and something I really like is just the dynamic nature of the miniatures, first of all, and secondly, taking, for example, the Greater Possessed, the two Greater Possessed models have completely different silhouettes, and they're very different models.
Yeah.
Even though like they're the same, and I love that. I love that there's such variety, and they really kind of captured the feel of the box. Now that's in terms of models. I love the models; they're great. Rules wise, really excited to see some rules. Diving deep into the rule interactions, like with warlord traits and new psychic powers and new rules. I feel like this kit is going to add a lot to a lot of people's collections that they feel like they might have been missing.
Yeah. I'm so excited about this. Going back to the models real quick especially for the Black Legion piece of it, because that is one of my armies, and I've actually, I had started pursuing building this Black Legion army. I had used, the old Chaos Space Marine kits, supplemented them with bits from various companies, so they looked very different, but these are just still so good. And the thing I like about this box set is sometimes what happens is you get kind of duplicative models, right? Like it'll be like actually 5 models, but you get 2 of these and 2 of these and 2 of these. These all appear to be fairly unique in their appearance. So I'm very excited about the way this kit is looking and excited about what it's going to do for me and my armies going forward. So yeah.
100%. And if I was a Chaos player, I would also be very excited of the fact that they tie in so well with other releases like Blackstone Fortress.
Yeah.
And, they just previewed the next expansion of Blackstone Fortress, which
so
is the Chaos Ogrin and
Commissar.
like a company. Is it a commissar? A fallen commissar,
Yeah.
or company commander with a power fist.
Yeah.
All these miniatures, the the Thunderhammer, like Chaos Lord, the two Chaos Space Marines from Blackstone Fortress, the Chaos Cultists, the Fallen Guard, like the Renegade Guard.
Yep.
You put them all together on a table side by side, and you would never know they're from different box sets.
Oh no, not at all. And I think they're precursors to what is coming. In my mind, I think you're going to see. Hopefully we get to eventually see like a Traitor Guard army, because boy, they look good. And that commissar, I love the chaos symbol scarification on his forehead, or his face.
Like he literally took like a red hot iron to his face.
He's really committed to
it. Exactly.
All right, so let's go on to the next question. Okay, so question 2. As we discussed last episode, the 40K timeline, and just a few minutes ago, the 40K timeline has advanced considerably, and we've seen the galaxy torn in half by the Cicatrix Maledictum, or the Great Rift. Things are progressing, and as you heard in my interview with Chris Raitt, even Black Library authors don't really know where it's going at this point. So what is it you kind of want to see happen now? Like, what do you want to see happen? Lars, let's start with you.
Well, as a longtime Eldar player, of course, I would like to see the Eldar do something besides cannibalize each other.
Get resurgent.
Yeah. Start doing maybe some smart things. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe blowing up Biel-Tan was not the smartest thing to do. And see just how the other Xenos races respond to this big sea change in the setting, because they would respond.
Absolutely.
Especially in the Dark Imperium area, right?
Yeah, the Dark Imperium is like the tower, like, okay. It's time to start fifth.
The fifth.
I missed one.
The fourth one
disappeared.
poofed.
Oh, it poofed out.
No,
Okay,
it went into Cicatrix Mountain.
It went in and
it got
disappeared.
swallowed up. Well,
yeah.
Now it can appear wherever
now
you
we
need
can
it.
go.
Yep.
It's the fifth.
They're probably hanging out with the Lost Primarchs.
Hanging out, drinking, hanging out.
Right.
Show them the greater good.
Okay.
This is almost exactly, Lars. We're I think point for point on this one is.
Well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let's hear what Skari has to say about that first.
I think that Alpha Legion should just take over the entire universe.
Okay.
Well, honestly, the storyline has advanced so much that it's truly exciting to see not only where the factions have kind of ended up, but they've opened the door to advancing the story infinitely forward, instead of just constantly being at the stroke of midnight or just before the bells sound at midnight or whatnot.
Yeah.
Now you not only cut the universe in half, but you have all these different factions fighting each other all over the place. Mm-hmm. So now you have like a lore standpoint. You can have orcs fighting on any part of the galaxy versus Tau fighting in any part of the galaxy versus Imperium versus... So what they've done is created that immersive narrative sort of introduction, and then allowing you as a player to play it out however it is that you want.
Right. I think adding that the Cicatrix Maledictum, the Great Rift as well, makes it in some ways even easier. In the past maybe you're running a campaign, right? And you're saying, all right, well, all these forces are over here and it's in this part of the galaxy. Well, my Tau want to play. According to the lore, your Tau are way over here. How would they possibly, now it's very easy to say, well, they were sucked into this rift and appear over here.
Exactly. And it ties in as well with the new Vigilus books.
Yeah.
I feel like they did a great job sort of creating Vigilus and the whole sector of Vigilus as this sort of, Panama Canal style thing in between both the Dark Imperium and the Light Imperium, essentially, through the Cicatrix Maledictum. And this gives them, Games Workshop as a company, the ability to put all factions vying for power in this very critical area of space.
And even, the interesting thing about that, too, is there's 2 locations on the map that they show, you can pass through this thing. And where Vigilus is clearly one of them. But the crazy thing about it is, now we haven't seen what happens in the sequel to Vigilus. I'm very interested to see, where things go. Supposedly the War Master's coming. He's going to clean house. I feel like for the first time, I really want to see where this goes and like what happens. But even were the chaos forces to take over that planet, there's no reason this is not going to be a location of constant warfare, right? I mean, it's just going to continue
100%.
forever. So
They've set the stage for Vigilus to burn forever.
Yeah. They've kind of removed the whole Cadia thing. I do kind of miss Cadia, I'll be honest, in some ways. But I really like the direction they're going here. I think that what's interesting is we can see how it plays out now through the end of 7th edition and how they really set the stage for all this. Like it's becoming clear they're not just making it up as they go along. Like they had a plan, they had a long-term plan, and they're executing on each piece of that. I have to admit, I was one of the people that was like, don't advance the storyline. You don't need to. It's fine where it is. It's a setting, not a story. But now that they've done what they've done, I'm really on board. I'm totally on board.
I agree. I could not be a happier gamer right now in this universe that they've created. Even though it's war, destruction, death, all
You're
this
happy.
crazy stuff, it just really adds to the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, Jody, back to you.
So, thanks, Skari. So, no, like Lars was saying, I immediately went, I feel like we understand how the Imperium's going to handle this. And Austin, I think your point has me really pondering some what ifs now for the Imperium side of things, is that, the Astra Militarum are scattered and everybody's got to kind of pull themselves up by their bootstraps. The Marines are responding with Primaris and new tech, and the chapters are doing the best they can. Chaos is is ascendant.
Oh, for sure.
In the extreme, especially with the return or the force forward of Primarchs and Abaddon.
Yeah.
So exactly like you said, the Xenos races are gonna respond. Like there is a reaction. Now, one of the things that I'm excited to see, where does this go? How does this affect the orcs? Where's Gazgul? Because he's gonna react. Like
He's gonna have an opinion.
Yeah, orcs do tend to have spectacular and violent reactions. How does this new massive wave of psychic energy affect the Tyranids and this new rift across the dimensional plane?
It's a good point.
That's really should have a severe impact on them, and what happens to the splinter fleets that are, cut through the Maledictum. And there's a lot of interesting things that could happen there. So I'm really curious to see how that happens. But my one what if fear is I'm in no rush to see this.
Right.
So often, again, I'm going to go tangential and bear with me, I'll come back, is so often American TV shows fall folly to this notion of trying to give the audience exactly what they want right away. And you start watching a show and you're like, oh, what would be cool is if the bad guy did this. And in episode 3, he does that. And you're like, where are they going now? That was kind of all I needed. And then but here's this new thing. Oh, we resolved that 2 episodes later. I'm like, no, there's a desirability to building up some suspense. There's a desirability to a slow rollout.
We don't want a moonlighting 40K, right?
No.
And for those who don't know what that means.
Yeah, I got the
Okay, Moonlighting was a TV show that
Right.
had Bruce Willis in it,
Yeah.
and Sybil Shepherd, and there was this sexual tension between the two of them throughout the whole seasons.
Right.
The minute they got together, that show went downhill. Like
Right.
the sexual tension was gone. And I'm not saying Abaddon has sexual tension with anybody.
Robot girly man.
But everybody's like, well, what's going to happen when he gets to Terra?
right.
What's going to happen if Abaddon gets to Terra? Well, I don't know that I necessarily want that answered yet.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I want to know
I
how
want to
the
destroy a whole bunch of other stuff before he gets there.
And while I want to know how the Xenos respond, I for now I am happy with what's going to be the status quo for the Imperium versus Chaos. And then as things evolve, so what does happen to Tyranids and what does happen to Xenos? And somebody mentioned Tau in the notes. Who mentioned Tau in the notes? Because that blew my mind. I hadn't even considered this aspect.
I'm guessing Austin. No,
Guessing, yeah.
Somebody mentioned, so here it is, that
because
Tau aren't a warp-based race.
No.
Right.
Well, they are now.
everybody is.
So what? How?
But there's been some speculation that they're somewhat resistant to the war.
Well,
right?
back
I don't
at
know
the
how true that
beginning,
is.
I'm not current on my Tau foo, but back during the Ayaterra campaign, it was like a big deal. They were saying, how are these ships just showing up all of a sudden? Because they didn't understand the concept of warp travel.
Right.
They knew that the Imperium had some kind of faster than light travel. They just didn't know what it is. And I think they launched some sort of stealth campaign to Tau Empire to figure out what that technology was. And when they finally figured out what's going on, they were horrified by it. And they're like, we can never do this.
Yeah, they don't want to go there.
Yeah, this is the bad idea.
Yeah. So again, how in the heck are they reacting to like, well, you're dealing with it now, one way or another?
Right.
And,
Well, yeah, they got that the fourth sphere got sucked up into the Citrix maledictum, right?
Yeah.
So
Cicatrix.
Sorry, I'm thinking of
You're
tech
thinking of
company.
work.
The Citrix maledictum.
Amen to that.
That's
Are we being sponsored?
super tech nerd joke right there. Anyway,
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I mean, I've seen some photos with the Tau facing off against, I think it was like some Primaris Marines.
Yeah.
So, probably the next expansion we're going to see more Xenos. I definitely think
I think so, too.
that's happening there because
Yeah.
they want to bring the Xenos up into the current lore, kind of explain what's going on. So. I'll be really interested to see what happens there.
well, at a certain point, in leading up to this and leading up to the return of Rabute, they had the Eldar basically helping out. Mm-hmm. Now we've had a bit of a schism there again, where there's been some.
Well, you
You
think
know.
the Dark Angels are dicks? I mean, come on. The Eldar are just like, we're friends for now.
This is a family-friendly show,
Sure.
there, Lars.
Yeah.
Don't make me go edit.
Sorry.
You wouldn't like me when I go edit.
Speaking of editing, Slanesh is a thing, right? Like Lars, you threw that in your notes. We keep. There has been there's GW. I really felt like it was hey, check this out. They showed the hidden image of the Lord Discordant in the background of a picture day, which was kind of like, yeah, here, look, we already showed you. There's been a lot of little Slanesh. Well, not little Slanesh, big Slanesh demons buried here and there in imagery lately of backgrounds, but it's really consistent.
Yeah.
If you go look at the Keeper Secrets images, so that is kind of the fourth prong of chaos, as it were, or of the main points.
Yes,
is this notion of, so if the Eldar had this Assurgence, well, then She Who Thirsts should as
too.
well.
Yeah.
So I would love to see how that plays out.
I'm curious to see how much of this is the enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing starts playing out too.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to be friends with the Tyranids. The Tau might go try. But I don't think it's all for the greater good. Hey guys, don't you?
I think they've tried that a couple times, haven't they?
I think they have.
Yeah.
Worked with the
I think they
Vespids.
tried to capture some or something like
Yeah,
that.
That never goes
It,
well.
it hasn't gone well. They're
No.
like, we just
Jeff
need to shoot
Goldblum
it.
showed up.
Shoot
and
it
was
from
like,
a very far distance away.
chaos happens. Then yeah. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about with the growth and expansion of 8th edition. This has been a hot button topic that's been going around. With the growth and expansion of 8th edition comes the growth in the number of books and supplements and pages you need to bring with you to play the game of Warhammer 40,000. So, of course, there are digital solutions in place right now. Whether those are optimal or not is another discussion. But is this really that critical? I mean, people get really fired up about, I had to bring 5 books to the thing. Now, I come from a role-playing game background.
5 books is nothing.
Where 5 books is like, yeah, that's cute. Do you see this spinal bifida I have from carrying these backpacks of books?
Did you have to go through the snow uphill
years.
both ways?
You know
Yeah,
what? Lars was
No
there with
shoes.
me.
I was there too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
we were
can
being
vouch
chased
for me,
by
right?
wolves.
And the jocks were throwing rocks at me the whole time.
by wolves. So what would you pose as a solution to this? And let's see what Skari has to say first.
Well, the first thing I have to say about this particular issue is that for my last game, I had a stack of 6 books on a table. I had Vigilus, the Space Marine Codex, an Imperial Guard Codex, a White Dwarf for the Assassins, chapter approved 2017 and chapter approved 2018.
Oh, okay.
Now that was a mouthful and a half.
That is.
Absolutely. I don't mind doing that, although it can be relatively confusing for somebody who has, say, just started the game and they get their core rule set, which is, 12 pages or whatnot, and they get a box set of their favorite looking army and they put it against their friends. And their friend at the local game store just happens to know that an FAQ has been released, and all of a sudden, no, your commissar doesn't make everybody fearless. They FAQ that, and that leads to the fact that orders don't affect conscripts anymore, and that leads to a whole bunch of other stuff.
And inevitable bad feelings, right?
Exactly. Unless you're kind of like in the know, right? Then you don't know at all.
Right.
Then again, ignorance is bliss. So if you don't know and you've been playing with your rules right out of the codex and the rule book, all the power to you, because there's so many people that play the hobby, you can never know. However, for us that are sort of plugged in to say, where we keep up to date with the latest update, which happens to be almost every week now, that something new is happening.
Hey, now you're going to have to bring your Shadow Spear, mini codex.
Yeah, another Shadow Spear mini codex, and every White Dwarf they release books. And I'm not saying that's bad. I love it. I love that they're giving us rules. They're
producing more content
to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. As for solutions, I feel like there's some way that everything could be digitized and still make money for the company. So say, buy a codex, get a electronic coupon discount code for the online living document.
Yeah.
For example, I think we live in an age where anything is possible with the technology that we have, and there's not really an excuse other than the fact that they have a system that works and they probably don't want to change it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I've given some pushback on this when people are saying, "Oh, this is a big deal," and I'm like, is it really that big of a deal? But you've actually convinced me here that this is probably a bigger deal than I'm making it out to be. And I think that the interesting thing is one of the kind of, I don't want to say defensive points I've taken, but one of the points I've made is Games Workshop is not a technology company, and to invest in this is another arm that they're having to invest in. Like, it's another stretch. Now, it's not that much of a stretch because they're already doing it with the iTunes, iOS versions of stuff. The regular
the smart electronic versions.
Right. I mean, to a degree, maybe they do need to look at it and take it seriously and say, we're going to invest a sizable chunk of money in going this direction, a digital form. I think the reality is the only true solution here is a digital solution. That's the only sustainable solution.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Other than that, the only other thing you could potentially do is sell a pack of stickers that you would take off and just stick onto your codex where they did the errata. That's just the exact same size and same font as the paragraph that they reworded.
I seriously thought about producing those on my own, to be honest with you.
Right.
And then your rulebook will never close correctly. And
Yeah, 100%. But
they'll be
do you
there.
want one messed up rulebook, or do you want 6 books?
I don't find the FAQs to be so much the issue as I do find the additional content and consolidating it all into one place to really be the issue. And so, to your point, I think, an app or something along those lines that allows you to say, look, I'm going to be taking Chaos Space Marines, but I also need this Demonkin input. Oh, this is already all updated with the latest FAQ, so I don't have to worry about that. And I'm going to pull this unit from the index that's no longer, anywhere else, but I can still use it because it's from the index, so I get to introduce that. And then I can, go with a very small either printout or a very, a tablet of some kind is going to ultimately have to be a solution they come up with. Now, where that leads to, what are people willing to pay for it? Some people... No matter what solution you come out with, somebody's unhappy, right? And it's going to be, this should be free, or this costs too much, or I bought the codex, I should get a free copy of it. Wherever they land on that, I think they're going to have to make a sizable investment to get it to work correctly. They're going to pass that cost onto the customer. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
100%. They are a company at the end of the day. They are, looking to turn a profit. At the same time, I'm more than willing to support Games Workshop as they continue to generate content and miniatures, and they support the community more than they've ever been. Not only with the community engagement, but also with new lore and rules, and they seem to really be listening to their customer base a lot more than they ever have. I've been a Games Workshop fan since the early 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Right. 40K. So ultimately, I feel it's the lesser of, say, two evils. Like it's a manageable evil, if I were to say that.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
I much prefer having Games Workshop constantly producing content to keep me engaged and immersed in the hobby that I love than
waiting 13 years for a new Eldar Codex.
Like I did the first time, and I would do it again.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Well, listen, we're gonna cut out after the rest of the guys have their say here. But I want to thank you for joining us for half the show, Skari. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. And as always, the independent characters is a mainstay of any good podcasting dietary supplement.
Well, I very much appreciate you saying that, and we will talk again soon, and maybe we'll see you at Nova Open.
Absolutely. I hope that everything lands in place for that, and I'm trying not to forget, like any good Canadian Val, my passport in my shoe.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Okay, let's hear from Jody now. Jody, what's your thinking here?
Oh man, so. All right, I'm going to get on my rant box a little bit.
All right.
This is the single most overblown, ridiculous crybaby issue I have heard in a long while from a community that's particularly great at being crybabies.
You know what?
Wow, tell me how you really feel there, Jody.
He did say he likes to say something every episode that upsets people.
Yeah, so send your hate mail to
let me push it.
I'll give you Jody at theindependenetcharacters.com as an address. Don't write there. It's not an address. Yeah, well, the mail will just get rejected.
Please write there.
Brick wall over here.
Yeah, this is...
Okay.
I'm
going to let you finish your thought.
Okay, thank you. So my question is this in relation to why I have such a strong reaction is, unless you are doing the I'm looking for something to be bent about keyboard commando fake rage thing, and if you are, hey, good for you. But if you're not, who is it that's so affected by this issue? Tournament players don't pack their books to the games. They don't. They know the rules well enough that they generally don't need to. Okay, so
they should have their rules every
They should. They should, and there's judges there if it's iffy. And again, once I did play tournaments regularly, and this just was never an issue. Mm-hmm. If something seemed iffy, you called a judge and they had the books, or somebody, would have them. Anyway, wasn't an issue. If you are playing relaxed in your home gaming, then you have your books because you're at home. You didn't have to pack them. Well, what if I go game at a friend's house? Do you not trust your friend, or do you not know your rules? The rules are really very streamlined right now. They're not that complicated
in comparison to previous.
Agreed. Yeah, compared to previous edition. Now, if you're brand new to it, maybe. If you are still under the delusion as a casual gamer that you're going to play a game of 40K and not miss any rules and get anything wrong, you need to stop using
40K.
glue that way.
Right, Jody at the independent characters.
You're going to make rules mistakes. Yeah. I'm not sure who it is that's really so deeply, painfully affected by this, unless you are just super deeply type A and you need those things with you to feel secure and enjoy your game. Okay, that's a tiny percentage of people. I just don't see it being that big of an issue for the 6 people who feel the need to own every possible book and for every game they play to bring every possible book to that game. It's just not an issue. You're just crying to cry.
Okay.
Is my opinion on that. And I do have a solution still, but you can react to my get over it.
Austin?
I'm going to kind of agree. I'm not agreeing to the extent and the conviction that Jody's agreeing to. But I mean, the games that I've played, it's just like you just have the discussions. Like, okay, well, are we playing? Chapter approved 2018. Okay, yeah. So we have that book. Are we playing the Bolter beta rules? Yes. Okay, then we know that rule, and then you just kind of play your game.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm not playing tournaments, but it's like the tournament players I know, they know their rules, and those guys are really good. They know all the rules, all the rules and actions. They don't need their books.
Yep.
For my games, I need my books. I was also thinking along the lines of, just maybe like the data cards.
Okay.
I would like to see that.
I would like to see data cards.
Kind of like an Age of Sigmar. You got these data cards, and I have a Stormcast army, and I've got those data cards, and they're really helpful for me. I almost never play that game, so having those cards with me is really, really handy. Okay. Just as a quick reference.
Especially where you talk about like allies and that kind of thing, it'd be really nice to be able to just have the cards you need for the unit.
Yeah.
I think that's
I make little marks, in my book just for the units that I've used, and I try to limit all the units that I use. I don't want to bring everything because I just can't keep track of the rules. I'm just not that good at this game.
Yeah, me either.
Right. Frankly, I'm just not.
I hear you.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
What about you, Lars?
I agree with Jody. In fact, I don't think he goes far enough.
Oh,
burn the rules.
No.
Yeah.
Anarchy.
Are we going
I'm
back
on
to
both
the
sides
initial
of this, but-
release? Like, just bring whatever you want.
In a word, chaos.
Open war. I think it would be nice to have those data sheets, and it would be nice to have, among other things, like the stratagem cards available, and not feel like I'm, pirating something by, copying it from the book. And yes, I read ahead and I saw your response, Jody, so I know what you're going to say, and that is a viable solution. You can just collect all the rules yourself.
Yeah.
You can write it all down or print it out, whatever. I don't think it's as big of an issue, but when you have, if you have a sprawling number of publications that you're building your army across, isn't that kind of your choice?
Yeah, I mean it is. And I was thinking that actually when you mentioned allies, like, okay, if I do my Trader Guard idea where I have allied demons and Trader Guard and this and that, and I've got to have, it's still 3 books, 4 books.
Yeah.
And they're not, we're not talking about BRBs here. We're talking about codexes. They're not that big.
There's no Dungeon Master's Guide, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly.
Darn tootin'.
So by means of a suggestion, Austin, I love Austin's idea. If GW wants to cash in on making data cards for the data slates, do it. And I will be at the front of that line when I buy my codex for whatever army, buying a pack of them. I think that's an awesome idea.
Absolutely.
You can do that yourself, and
it's a great suggestion.
You can do it yourself, and it costs you all of an hour or 2.
Yeah.
No, I mean when 8th first came out, one of the guys on the Fault Line group, he did that for the Tau. I was like going, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Can you make me a set? He never made me a set. A little salty about that, but so I'm not going to call his name out on radio or
How
podcast.
hard can it be?
But no, he did it. He did it like he did a real. It was a really nice
Zach?
production.
You can tell
It
us.
was not Zach.
Oh, darn it. I wanted to
People
say
with
Zach.
Photoshop skills can throw this together pretty quickly, where
I
they
think
look
he kind of
or a
does.
scanner.
That's what he does.
A scanner. Yeah.
right, or a scanner.
He does media stuff, so
Understood.
it was a really nice
It was
finished
well
card.
done. Yeah.
It was a very well
that
presented-
guy.
That guy. Yeah.
So let me explain.
Zach, it's his wife.
Let me explain what I do to get around this air quotes issue.
Hold on. Okay. Before you go about what you're going to do to get around it, here's my thinking on it. Because I would say when I wrote this topic down, I was like, this is a non-issue issue. Like I kind of agreed with you. I'm like, this is non-issue issue. As you've heard Skari talk about his kind of point of view is almost diametrically opposed to yours, though maybe not so aggressively opposed to yours. He actually swayed me in with kind of one real argument here, which is as the game progresses, as we get mini codexes out of Shadowspear, as we get
rules introduced through White Dwarf or test rules introduced or that kind of thing, the game becomes more and more unwieldy for somebody new trying to get into it. And when 40K 8th edition came out, the great thing about it was if you want to get into this game, now is the time to get into it.
Yep.
Because, boy, it is much easier than it was in 7th edition. Near the end of it, I would have not introduced anybody new to that game.
Nope.
There was way too many.
Yeah, I tried to bring a friend into it, and he just looked at me like I was crazy. He's like going, "What are you talking about? I've got to own this book. It's 300 pages. There's like 130 some odd pages of rules, and there's like this whole glossary of just special rules.
Yeah,
and it's like, how am I supposed to digest all this?
So my only concern is that as we start to get rules across multiple things, chapter approved, blah, 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 chapter approved 2017 has some things that chapter approved 2018 doesn't have. It would be great if there was a way to consolidate all this into something that updates or that you could subscribe to. For 5th edition D&D, we see that they have the... I can't remember what it's called, but...
Beyond? No.
Yeah, D&D Beyond, where you can basically... buy the book digitally and use their online system to look up any rule to do whatever you want. You can even print out certain things from it. My takeaway on it, as you heard maybe a little bit earlier, was that Games Workshop's not a technology company.
Right.
And so... a lot of people are like, "We'll just put an app out." Oh, just like that, huh?
Oh yeah, just like that.
It's like, yeah, we're gonna go like Dane Cook, Hey, let's go get some chicks. Just like that, huh? Just go out and get some chicks. It is a significant investment for the company to invest in developing some type of system. We saw Wizards of the Coast and TSR fail to do this numerous times before they finally did it right in 5th edition. Quite honestly, I saw them fail time and time again.
Yeah.
Companies fold that were developing software for them, et cetera, et cetera. So ultimately, though, I think it's in order to keep the game approachable for people who are new to the game, I think they do need to make an investment. And they need to take it seriously, but I think they have the capability, if they focus on this, to make a system whereby you can get the rules, you can pay whatever, and people are going to complain, as you mentioned. Right. People are going to cry about it costs too much, or a rule should be free, or listen, nothing in life is free, nothing. That
especially miniatures.
That free email account you're using, I got news for you. It's not free. There's advertisements, or they're pulling data about you, or whatever the case. Nothing in life is actually free. And GW is going to charge what they're going to charge, but I think that would make it more accessible. And that's my only concern. Mm-hmm. I don't care that I have to carry a backpack full of books to a game. That doesn't bother me so much. Making it accessible to new players, I think that's important. But that's my takeaway.
That's yeah.
And that was where
Skari got AOS app. I mean, I haven't used it recently.
I have not looked at it.
But they have data cards in there, and you can buy data cards for certain formations and stuff like that. Okay. And can't they? I was just wondering if why
sounds like they could just repurpose that, right?
Yeah, why couldn't they port that over to 40K?
Maybe they can.
Maybe they're trying, and maybe that's something they're integrating. But their release schedule is just
insane.
It's insane. It's crazy. Yeah. They're just pumping stuff out.
And you have to bear in mind, it's not just I build the app and now it's built. Well, now you have to develop a team that's going to actually put the data from the codexes into the app, make sure everything's lining up correctly.
And update it with this blistering release schedule.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
This is a full-on commitment to do it. So I think where I get annoyed is where people are just like, well, they should just have an app. Oh, just like that. Huh?
Just have one.
Yeah. Why don't you just make it for them if it's that easy? Because it's not. And of course, there's going to be somebody listening to shows like, I make apps all the time. I can make it for them.
Right.
Great. Tell you what, make that app. Write GW and tell them what you've done, because they have onboarded other people's work into Games Workshop now. They are open to it. Show them what you got.
Hell's Reach was real good. So my counter to that argument.
Okay.
And it's not to say it's not
wrong, Jody. So we're going to cut out. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Please go.
Button is strong here.
Yeah, that's right. It's Carl's show.
You're counter to that argument. No,
It's-
and seriously, it's
No,
fine.
and it's is the notion of need versus want.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a brand new player, do you need every single most up-to-date rule?
No, clearly you don't.
Right.
But it would be nice to get the rules that are updated.
Right. If their release schedule holds as to what we've seen it currently is, and there has been no indication this is not the new norm,
Yeah, no, I think it's going to continue.
I would imagine we'll be seeing I would imagine the Marine Codex was the first codex released because it
Yep.
usually is. I would imagine before too terribly long, we'll see another Marine Codex.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. of it.
So
Well, I mean, you gotta integrate the
I would go on a
Vanguard,
limb and say
right?
we'll see 9th edition 2020 is my guess. I
yeah,
don't know.
and
Maybe
then
even
we
earlier.
will see these rules integrated. So you would have to wait a year
Yeah.
or a couple years to have everything in one place.
Yeah.
We're coming from, and maybe this is my old back in my day showing, but I used to wait
You
5,
didn't
10.
even watch Moonlighting, all right?
I was too young for that. My parents wouldn't let me stay up that late. You're old.
Yes, I know. I turned 49 this 2 weeks.
Oh, that's
Okay,
not as
anyway.
far away as I wanted it to be for me. So yeah, I mean, I get that people wanting this and wanting to have the data cards. I'm all for it. GW, make an app. I'll pay you for it.
I will
The
too.
AOS app, I'll be honest, I feel like is pretty lackluster. The Gates of Azir, isn't that what it's called? I don't know. It's
I haven't
not
seen it.
wow. It's there. It's not wow, but it works.
No,
it works.
It works, but it's the army builder and there's not.
Wait, I remember it. This was from a while ago.
Yeah.
It's still going.
yeah.
It's
Still
like
going.
$1.50
No.
a month.
Nah.
It's not good.
No.
I mean, it's not bad, but it's not.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, we saw TSR and Wizards of the Coast struggle. 3rd edition was supposed to come with a character
that's
building
right.
software.
Yeah.
It came
With a disc
The
was,
beta that
in the
came
book.
in the book.
Yeah,
and it was
that's right.
actually not half bad. And the company went under.
Yeah.
Not
Okay,
Wizards of the Coast. The company
that
made the
was
software.
making it. So, like I said, yeah, I mean, cool. But I think the only thing I urge is stop throwing it out there willy nilly. Like, yeah, they should just do this. Oh,
And I think that's a great point.
it
So
is legitimately difficult.
can I give a suggestion that isn't go build an app and that isn't wish listing, although I like your wish list very, very much. I'm voting for Austin's wish list.
No, you
I
can't.
like Austin's
Okay.
idea a lot.
You can do that
I'm here patting
yourself.
myself on the back, as a matter of fact. That's good. Right now.
Your
so
head's
good.
getting a little big over there. buddy.
You can do that yourself. There's this really, really kind of obscure program called Google Docs. You may have also heard of an older version called Microsoft Word. You can build tables very easily in that. You build a table that looks like a data slate. Take an hour or two to write out, hey, this will actually help you learn your rules. Write out and populate your data slates. Fill them in.
And people have done this, and you can find those documents.
Yeah.
Online.
So we
pretty
wouldn't
easily.
advocate you do that.
No.
Well,
For your own personal use, this is totally
That
legit.
is legit.
I mean, for
Right.
the data sheets. And the
I
format.
did this for I have one for Zinch, I have one for Slanesh, I have one for Korn, I have one for, and I have my special rules. And when I want to play a game, I literally just cut and paste to drop the units I'm going to use onto a page. I hit print, and on 3 pieces of paper, I have all of the rules for every one of my units. It took me a couple hours to type up the things. I have a pretty good grasp of what the units do because I've actually taken the time to write it up. It's not some onerous, undoable task. It's stuff people have access
I
to.
think that's not really the issue because Battle Scribe will do all
Yeah.
this for you.
Yeah.
Right? It does 99% of that.
Yes.
The issue is the updating of rules, the
So
FAQs.
when Realm of Chaos came out, the Slanesh versus Korn
Yeah, yeah,
box, they did
Wrath and
exact
Rapture.
Wrath and Rapture.
Wrath and
Thank
Rapture,
you.
that was it.
They updated how Fleshhounds work in that. They
Yeah.
have changed.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
work differently now. Blood Crushers changed as well.
This is a great example.
And I literally just went into my doc when I got those
yeah,
slates
that's-
and went click, click, click. Now mine's updated.
Yeah.
So when I cut and paste and want to see what Fleshhounds do,
Yeah.
my rules are updated. And it literally took minutes to go, what's the difference? Here's the difference. Click, click, click. Off I go. So it's not a
I wouldn't call that an elegant solution, but it's a solution.
it's a solution. And
Yeah.
I mean, what are you out? An hour or two?
Yeah.
Well,
How many armies do you
How many could I
have
paint in that
and play?
right.
You know?
Well, I mean, yes,
Yeah.
if you were cycling through 6 different armies and you're trying to keep track of all this stuff, yeah, this is a real problem. But again, how many people are we really talking about for whom this is just making and breaking the hobby for
I
them?
mean, it's not like there's some nut,
Yeah, I-
nut job out there who's got 1,000 Space Marines just
would
sitting
be
around.
crazy.
That'd be crazy.
To your point, I think the importance of this is it's just a lightning rod point that
Yep.
if it's not this, it's going to be something else that
Right.
people are complaining about. But I do think that fundamentally there is some legitimacy to just making sure the game continues to be accessible and not confusing.
Right.
People trying to get into the game right now are starting to get to the point where they're like, well, I'm not sure what I need or from where.
Sure.
Or how do I get this? How do I get the FAQs? You know, if you can just tell them, you go download this app, everything is there.
Sure.
And you have to pay for it. It would make it easier, but again, I think clearly that's the most elegant solution. That's pie in the sky.
Sure.
Going to take an investment, but in the meantime, you can make data cards. You can, use Google Docs. You could do whatever you need to do. Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
And I'm being aggressive because it makes good podcast.
Is that what, this is all an act?
No, it does.
does get under your skin a little bit.
It does get under my skin because it's hollow winching about something that just isn't a big deal.
I don't think it's as big a deal as people make it out.
Exactly.
Right.
And I
Correct.
But I don't want to delegitimize because there's a legitimate.
Hey, people have
piece there.
feelings.
There's a legitimate piece there, but is it worth it? Does it destroy my enjoyment of the game? Oh no. And me carrying 5 books to the game store to play is not really the only time it's a problem is when Justin has stolen one of those books and I can't find it.
Truly.
All right, well, let's take a break. We're going to come back and we've got 3 more questions we're going to pose to this group. So we will be right back.
Hey, this is Big Nasty B from Life After the Cover Safe, and I'm at a mall talking to strangers about Table War. Table War develops some of the most innovative products for the miniature wargaming and hobby industry.
And I develop pictures.
That's great. They develop things like the Fat Mat.
Who's Matt, and why is he so fat?
Well, first off, Mat is not a person. The Fat Mat is a tabletop gaming surface, and with over 40 different designs, Table War's Fat Mat has become a community standard.
I got a Surface Pro. It's like 10 inches. By the way, I'm meeting my friend Simbon. Do you know what that is?
No, but I do want to tell you about the Table War Tower case line.
Oh man, towers are so huge.
Well, it's not that kind of tower. It's the original modular, all-in-one display storage and transport system for all your tabletop miniatures.
Wow, you're really smart. What's your relationship status?
Well, it's complicated, but you know what isn't complicated?
Chili dogs.
This is true, but also the Macromat.
Oh geez, not that guy again.
The Macromat is a one-of-a-kind, innovative photography backdrop, perfect for collectibles, hobby miniatures, and small works of art. Its durability, portability, and functionality in one inexpensive product.
I wasn't paying attention to what you just said, but do you validate parking?
No, I do not. But if you want more information, head over to tablewar.com and check them out.
Table War!
All right, so we're back. We're talking a few more questions here for you guys. Most of these fairly related. Hopefully not as controversial as that last one. Ooh, buddy.
Oh, man.
All right.
Books. Ugh.
In Blackstone Fortress, we have seen Trader Guard models now as well. The full set of Trader Guard that come with it. But now with the expansion, we've also seen the Trader Guard Commissar and a Chaos Ogren. Is Games Workshop teasing a future release with these models? Are there any other examples out there of a game that GW's put out and then has not had it then translate into one of their tentpole games, meaning Age of Sigmar or 40K?
This might be apples to oranges.
Okay, Lars, go.
But when did the Nurgle, what was it? Nurgle Rogue Trader stuff come out? Was that after they'd put out the full line of
That was
Nurgle Marines?
after. So what you're talking about is the Kill Team expansion.
They have a great name.
Gellerpox
Infected. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Those came in. Those came in kind of at the tail end of that whole resurgence of Nurgle models.
Yeah, they came as an expansion to Kill Team, but they were still kind of riding the coattails of the Nurgle release stuff.
That's apples to oranges. Never mind.
Well,
No, I think it's
afterwards. I think it's an interesting comparison.
So maybe I would believe it. And when you first brought this question
Can you buy
up,
those Gellerpox infection guys separate from that?
I don't think you can.
Not yet. Okay.
yeah, certainly not yet.
Okay.
But going back to, in preparation for this, I went back and I dug out my old Eye of Terror Codex, which I just love that book.
Yeah,
it's a great book.
Amazing.
And looking at the old Lost and the Damned rules and the models that people get bashed, of course, modeling and painting standards have changed a lot since then.
Yeah, we talked about that in Hobby Progress.
Yeah. But it's such a great, it is such an iconic army to have been absent for so long.
Agreed.
So I really hope that they're teasing something. I don't even play the army. I hope they're bringing more of those guys out because, yeah.
Jody, you got any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I kind of started rattling my brains about, what are older box games or oddball things that have rattled around in my time with this hobby. The Warhammer Quest games have always been separate, their own entity. Mm-hmm. They aren't really part of the main line. Now, Warhammer Quest Hammerhall, the newest one, is much more in line with the core game. But if you go back to Warhammer Quest with the mighty barbarian on the front.
But the Warhammer Quest that came out with the Zeech, the Tower of Zeech.
Silver Tower. There was the Ogroid Thaumaturge model in there, but he did get absorbed into the Age of Sigmar Tzeentchian stuff. Prior to that, he didn't have a home. But I'm talking about the older, like Advanced Hero Quest and Warhammer Quest.
Yeah.
Those were standalones that never really found a home. I mean, you could pirate the parts, but they weren't really ever mainline games. Bombers Over the Sulphur River was an old small box game.
Heck is that?
What?
Yeah, I saw
this.
This
Is a new
I was
one
like,
to me.
I have never heard
Oh
of
man,
this game.
this is GW. It's a GW Prime release.
Okay.
It was a small. They did a second go round of small box games. I don't know how many people are totally up on this. Here's for the grognards out there. The new evolution or push of these small box games like Gore Chosen and the new one they just teased and the Barnes & Noble exclusives. This is the third time this company's done this. Many moons ago, they had Space Fleet that had Once Upon a Once Battlefleet Gothic things. Long before Gothic ever existed, there were plastic push fit spaceships.
I do remember that game.
You drop the dice in the box lid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you had the it was like the Eldar, right, with the plastic sails.
Really elegant plastic models for the time.
Those are really nice models.
Yeah. Those didn't have a home. Bombers Over the Sulphur River was ostensibly used Epic parts for Epic 40K at the time Space Marine, and it was literally what it sounds like. It was Imperial emplacements with Orc bombers flying down a alternating tile ravine board. So you'd lay down one tile and you'd fly down that, and then you'd lay down another tile, and then the back tile would come up to make the next tile. And the Orc bombers were trying to blow out these bridges over this massive chasm. This is a build for those out there who are World War II movie aficionados. Your hair is on fire right now that I'm not quoting whatever movie this was based on. Sorry.
Guns Over Navarone, or
I'm not quoting because I don't know what it is.
I'm racking my brain and I can't remember it.
Anyway,
but it was based on that.
Bridge over Kwai.
Something like that.
It is not.
But so Andy Chambers developed it, and it was a box top, play on your lunch break, little quick game. I still have it buried in my stuff.
Oh, I want to play this.
The models, I do too, actually. Now, the models that were in it, you could use in Epic, but they were kind of a tacked on thing. It was a lot like what they do now, where they're like, here's this model, here's this game. And I guess you could use it in this other thing. Ambles have been around for a long time. And they got re-released, and they've never really had a home. Yeah. They're just a thing. The Famir, Forge World released Famir. They gave them rules because Forge World tends to now make a rule thing, but they've never really old grognards are going, don't say they never had a list. They did. Technically they did, but it was like in a compendium back of the book. Here's 2 pages.
Like a Citadel Journal or something.
Kind of. Yeah. One step above that. Yes. Yeah. So there have been things that have existed just as like, here's a cool thing. What is it?
Right.
A cool thing. As Lars said earlier, I like things and I wish to talk about them. Like, here they are. But all of that to say, there is some of this that's like, here's this cool model. What's it for? Being cool.
Right.
But God, I hope it's. I want to play Trader Guard. I literally have been working on trying to figure out how to build a Trader Guard army for a while. So if this is teasing that, heck yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Here, just take my money. Fine.
I feel like that is coming.
What he said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the notes, and I couldn't really think of anything. I mean, like you said, like the old. I'm blanking right now. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Okay,
we'll
bombers
skip
over
it.
the Sulphur River.
Listen, I think that when you invest in making models like this, they are expensive to make.
Yeah.
To make the molds, I think why wouldn't you cross-pollinate them across multiple games? You're just encouraging more people to buy them, to use them. I would love to see them come out with that Trader Guard kit as a separate kit, and you could make one of these mini codexes that they just released that I don't know, you have to buy the Imperial Guard Codex and you tack this on, and it converts everything plus a few choice units, and it works a little bit different. I mean, that's simplifying it grandly.
I mean, isn't this kind of like the Gene Stealer cult where, like, you can bring in parts of the IG and you can do upgrade kits?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's something they can go to,
Yeah.
Just upgrade kits for the Cadian set or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, there was a Trader Guard army list in one of the Imperial Armor books in 7th edition, specifically for
Badab
running Trader Guard. No, I think it was the Chaos book. I'd have to go double check, like 13 or something. Okay. But yeah, I mean, if it got supported, I think that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And especially if it's going to happen, like, I feel like now's the time for it to happen while Chaos is resurgent.
Right.
Is kind of the big bad guy. When the Black Legion attacks a planet, it's not just a bunch of Chaos Space Marines.
Right.
It's first a wave of the Lost and the Damned that attack, and then the demons attack, and then behind them come the 10,000-year-old Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah. It jarred some memories there too. Guave Vesa, the Tau Auxiliaries.
Oh, right.
Yes. They had terrible rules for a while.
Yeah.
But they were like, it was just this idea that, there are these human colonies that got absorbed into the Tau as part of the Third Sphere expansion. And so they sided with the Tau because the Empire wasn't there. And everybody in the Empire hated them. And I could see that happening now again. Like, okay, well, we're stuck on the underside of this big hole in space. Imperium isn't around.
Yeah.
These Tau guys seem pretty friendly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah. There's also the spindle robots, and there's some other stuff though in Blackstone, the Urguls that are, ostensibly part of Dark Eldar, but there are other aspects of that game that Am bought.
Yeah.
There are other
Am bot, right?
There's sure.
Yeah.
So there are other parts of that kit that don't have homes elsewhere. Frankly, I'll be honest, I would love to see GW just get back to going, here's a cool model. What's it for? Being a cool model.
Yeah, you've said this before. I don't know that I agree with that, but okay. You know what? We kind of already delved a little bit, but I'll add. So let's assume we are going to see Trader Guard. You kind of already spoke to this, Austin. If we are indeed going to see them, what specifically would you want to see in it, and how would you want it to differentiate itself from a loyalist Guard army? Jody, let's keep going with you.
I have a clear bias here.
Yeah.
Demons. Duh. I want demons. I want them to be able to summon demons. I want, give me chaos and all the rabble to embrace it. I want them. My favorite story is the psyker or whatever that's like, I know I can save everybody and pull an Ahriman Light. I'll just fix everything. It'll be okay. Dear demon of whatever, come fix this. Demon, Candygram.
Yeah.
Oh God. And then, it's fixed and so are you. And they're like, and then these guys, for whatever reason, go, hail our new overlords, here we go.
Yep.
There's something about that, and there's just demons running amok and shelling you, and that level of chaos, pun weak as it is intended, is just super appealing. So yeah, give me demons, give me summoning rules within a guard army, and let me see the demons run amok and add. I mean, balance. The interesting mechanic counterbalance to me is now I have guardsmen and a gun line. I don't think I need a fully developed gun line, but give me the guards and the shell and the weak humans, and then give me the interesting punch and dynamism that individual demon units can bring. That they're such specialists, while the guard aren't.
Right.
So find that balance point of I have guard and they kind of are garbage with some really great guns. And now I have demons to fill a niche.
Right.
And then I like the animosity thing. Give me animosity in there too. That if I summon up some Slanesh demons and I'm like, hey, let's get weird and summon up some Khorne demons, it's really probably has the potential to go spectacularly wrong. I love that set of rules. And I want to say one of the old Last and Damned Traitor Guard rules played with that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you could throw in with various marks of chaos on your Traitor Guard dudes, like just your generic dudes. They were abysmal units, but they were you could give them you could make them all basically plague zombies, for example, and they get I think they got something like +1 to their armor save or something crazy like that. But yeah, you could flavor your.
I know we could just use poxwalkers.
Why? You really know how to hurt a guy, Carl.
I really had to bring that up.
Poxwalkers with guns.
That's the only thing they don't do. So sure, why not? Shoot, make it assault cannons. They all.
But you could flavor them up, and you had the full range of different types of elite and fast attack demon units of the time, and I think that was where they introduced the Defiler.
Okay,
which actually now looks kind of goofy compared to what we've seen popping up on the web. Yeah, but it was a really interesting, flavorful list, and it's a good thing I wasn't as much of a kit basher back then, because I probably would have gone whole hog into it.
Yeah.
Okay. Austin, I'll go ahead and skip over you. Kind of already.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I don't see how you make a Traitor Guard. How do you make it feel different than just a?
I'll tell you how you make it feel different.
Okay, thank you.
This is how you do it.
Yeah, I'm leading in for you.
The Traitor Guard are notorious for not taking care of their weapons and equipment, much like the orcs, right? In a way. So I think you give them some equipment and vehicles that maybe don't necessarily work perfectly all the time, or they have a ramshackle type of situation going on, somewhat like orcs. There has to be some variable in there. I think you have unsanctioned chaos psychers in and amongst those that have the potential for things to go wrong, but also horribly wrong for the enemy because they're untethered, right? Then I think you can work in potentially demon engines or some minor demon stuff. I don't think the demons would be quite as summoned or generated by the Chaos Guard elements. More so, I think, like the sorcerers amongst the Chaos Space Marines. So I think you would add components that make them somewhat and the tournament players amongst you are going to hate to hear me say this, but some random elements to them. They and what you're trying to represent is some of these components have low morale because they are not. Maybe they're not fully on board with these Traitor Guard.
I
so
love
you're
it.
going to have effectively almost like penal units, right? You're going to have units that are conscripts that really they're given the choice of fight or die.
Right.
Like that's all you're going to do. Then you have like the fully bought in Traitor Guard that Dan Abnett writes
Zealots.
about, and that are the zealots of the category. And then you have the taskmasters, essentially.
I'm sorry, but for the dark god.
That's right.
Yeah.
For chaos!
That's beautiful.
And so I think that would generate an army that is feels very different than an Imperial Guard army, while utilizing some of those Imperial Guard vehicles and things, which would be really, really fascinating to see what people kit bash those into.
Oh, for sure.
Because
It's a
if
modeler's
you think
dream.
Orc players like to kit bash stuff, I mean, Chaos players would take Imperial Guard vehicles and just chaosify the heck out of them, more than just sticking spikes on them.
You know, and the model line as it exists now supports exactly what you're talking about, because the Blackstone Trader Guard are armored as though they are similarly Cadian guardsmen.
Correct.
Right.
And if you look at the old, again, Dark Vengeance models that I'm such a fan of, those are renegades and cultists, and they look very different. They are much less armored.
So there's your conscripts.
Exactly.
Right?
And
then the Trader Guard guys, your actual Trader Guard.
Right.
And then, work in some, I know at that point you can maybe work in some elements of Dark
Poxwalkers.
Mechanicum or something like that. Or Poxwalkers.
get out. A perils test for these psychers going, it's not, oh, the guy took a mortal wound, which, I mean, stinks and all, but like, no, there's a chart or something, and it's all bad.
Yeah.
It's, he died, but hey, replace him with 10 demons. Okay.
Or yeah.
Or he died and so did the 10 guys around him.
Right.
Right.
Well, bummer. Or whatever.
So you
like,
use them to run them into the enemy and then
yeah,
die.
right.
So
Hey,
that-
you're just saying how fun that is in Adeptus Titanicus.
Yeah. So
Watch my psychers
I think
pop.
that's what I would envision, and I think it's achievable. Like I think it's very achievable, and with very little expansion on the current line of stuff.
Well, but doesn't that bring up the issue of like that's just an extra chart, that you're having to bring with you and look? And,
Well, I mean, I'm not saying. Look, I'm not a game designer.
Anybody who's going to go to the work of bashing up a Lost in the Damned Army isn't going to care about that.
Well,
They're going to.
well, I'm also
of
thinking
course-
about the tournament players too, right?
But I mean,
whatever rules you write, you're going
Right.
to make them elegant enough that they flow correctly, right? I mean,
I think it's definitely going to take a lot of, if that's something that's happening, maybe they've already got it going on, and they're trying to streamline it to make it so it's a very usable product,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was Alan Bly used to talk about in a particular round of a game, you only really want to force the person to make a certain amount of decisions. The player should only have to make a certain amount of decisions. More than this amount, it becomes too cumbersome and unwieldy. And less than that amount, you don't feel like you're really affecting change or being able to move things. And there is a sweet spot there that they definitely tried to hit. And so when they would develop rules, they would often go, well, is this too far or is it not far enough? And so then they try to throttle it down. So I think that's an interesting philosophy. I'd never thought about it that way.
that is interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Final question. And this one I thought was actually kind of tough. Many people, including myself, are lauding the great work that Games Workshop is doing, engaging with the community, presenting great new models, games, expansions, rules, etc. Even with the pace with which they are releasing this stuff, it's just so relentless. We are not wanting for updates like we used to, though we know there's certain things that need updating, like Aspect Warriors.
I didn't say that.
Fingers crossed. and if you're an Imperial Guard player at this point, you're saying, "Where's my basic Imperial
my-
Guard kit?" I'll tell you where it is.
Yeah,
it's
like-
in the Trader Guard kit.
Well, I mean, you look at the Catachin unit, right? It's like, ooh, that
Catachin
is a
unit.
very
I try
that's
not
a
to look at
very
them.
dated unit.
Well, but listen,
plastic kit.
here's the thing: somebody's always going to be next or last,
Yeah.
or
Right,
whatever the
right.
case may be. Right now, it's chaos this time. Give us a chance here, right? And then we'll move on to the next thing. So, okay. So where is Games Workshop not succeeding? If you had to pick one thing that Games Workshop could do better right now, what is that thing? And we'll start with who? Who wants to go first? Austin, you're first.
I mean, I went with kind of low hanging fruit here, and I mean, it's a complaint that you hear a lot. It's just the pricing, right, of the stuff, and it's just these box games are getting. Granted, they're packing these box games with a ton of models, but all it's doing is it's jacking up the price. I mean, I paid almost I think it was like $280 for the Grandmaster box.
Yep.
And it's like, it's got a lot of stuff
So
in
let
there.
me ask you this: do you feel you got your $280 worth in that Grandmaster box?
I did, because I was just so jazzed for Titanic. I mean, it could have been,
So
could have been more.
Is your point here that, hey, that Grandmaster box was not priced appropriately, or that's a big barrier to entry at that price point? Like the Shadow Spear box is $175. That's pretty steep.
Yeah.
That's pretty steep.
Yeah. I mean, just overall, I mean, they're like I said, I mean, they're packing this ton of stuff in there, and it's, I mean, I guess it's a good value, but that's kind of a tough pill to swallow. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it is.
At
it's
one
like,
time, right?
it's like, I'm getting this box, and like, I may not. I mean, it's great. I think a lot of people are splitting these boxes because like they're not necessarily interested in the Demon half or the Primaris half, and so I mean that does help a
Chaos
lot.
Space Marine half.
Oh, sorry, Chaos. My bad.
I'm kidding.
I'm sorry. Black Legion.
There is some demon elements in there. Anyway,
I think you had it right.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's a good point. Please
No, I mean
continue.
that's just kind of where I was going. I was like, sorry.
That's incredibly unprofessional for a
It
professional podcast.
You have the most never mind musical
Warm.
gas I've ever heard. No.
Oh my god!
I went there.
All right. Anyway,
So I think the point you were mentioning, though, that I hadn't really considered, because I'm usually I kind of shrug off price anymore, not because I am so lavish with Carl's that I can, money, that I don't
Carl's is
have
the appropriate unit here.
Yeah, I don't have to care about it, but I just accept that this is the price of my hobby. You know, I don't play golf, and I'm glad I don't because it saves me a lot of money. But
That I can spend on plastic.
that I can spend on plastic crack. Thank you very much, GW, my Dark Overlord. So, but the box sets isn't something I'd really thought too much about. We used to see a big box set like Shadowspear once every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing them
Multiple times a year.
Yeah, multiple
Yeah.
times a year. These, plus $100 in some cases, pushing $300 boxes. That, I mean, an army is expensive enough, but these boxes are so exciting. It's hard not to to grabby.
Well, if you go
But
look
to
at
your- sorry, go ahead.
if you go back and look at Battle for McCrag and that box, the quality of that box and what was in it was good for the time, but now it pales in comparison to the stuff they're cranking out every dang month.
the detail on the
Right.
Marines is
It's
in
crazy.
comparison is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You raise a interesting point about the pace at which the boxes are coming out and that kind of thing. But you've also said on this show before, Jody, you kind of got over the I have to buy everything
I did.
mentality. And I think that I thought a lot about that after you said that. And,
That was Austin.
And
IPA, sorry. Other Austin, not this Austin.
you
IPA
said
Austin.
that though.
Yeah, but he's the one who coached me up.
Oh, was
we
he?
had we had our
Oh.
counseling and therapy
We
session.
need to kick that guy out of the group because this is not working.
That's not okay.
But to that point, like once I achieved that level, like I was like, I don't need to keep up with all this came out, man, I don't need it now, or maybe I'll buy it later. This allowed me to unburden myself of things like this Night Lord's army that had been sitting in a box for 2 years. Complete Forge World stuff. I sold it to a listener of the show. I mean, once I think you reach that point, you realize, well, okay, yeah, they're expensive, but I don't have to buy all of them.
Oh no, I reached that level a long time ago.
You're a smarter man than I am.
It's
I'll
like,
tell you what.
and I've been unburdening myself, like you said. You know, I've been getting rid of stuff over the last like couple years. And
Yeah.
I've just been, I only buy. It's just what I need. You know, I'm using my air
In
quotes.
quotes.
You
Yeah,
know, you
okay.
can't see it, but I'm using what I need. But it's basically just my current interest, right? So I
You
do have.
avoid impulse buys.
I'm trying to
As
avoid
much as
them as much as
possible.
possible, but
Yeah.
like Titanicus is, I mean, it's like it's gotten me, you know, hook, line, and sinker. It's just I'm all in. I've got a ton of Titans. I actually recently with the eBay rebate and then the discounts on eBay, it's like it was 30% off. It was like okay, so I bought more stuff.
Oh, speaking of that, and I brought this up last episode. I was talking about my Amazon credit card and how you get the 5% back on stuff you buy. A listener wrote to me and said, "Oh, you're doing it wrong.
Oh,
Actually, what you do is you take that credit that you get for the purchases and you apply that credit towards the balance on the card, and then buy whatever you want. So."
Thus
Because then
generating
you get
more-
a 5%. You get the 5%
Wow.
back on the
Again.
thing you buy again, as opposed to you don't get a credit. You don't get 5% back if you buy it with that credit. And I was like, oh my god, that's brilliant.
yeah.
It's practically free now. Quick, get more.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
well, to Lars, your point though about the quality, of these big boxes they're producing. It's, I mean, mind blown, right?
Astonishing.
So yes, I am fully committed to that. I don't need everything, but damn you, GW, for making me really want
That's
everything so hard.
And isn't
Tooth
that what
and
they're
claw,
supposed to
right?
do?
That's what they're doing their job. Tooth and claw is my favorite example. I have about once every 3 or 4 years, I'm like, maybe Space Wolves aren't dumb.
You and me.
Maybe
both.
they're
No,
kind
not
of
dumb.
cool.
Maybe I do them. That's the.
As soon as I go, they're not dumb, then I want to do them. And I'm like, oh, but I could do this and that. And then I go, no, talk myself out of it.
Right.
And then, but look at this Gene Stealer cult. And I could just start a kill team. And like that impulse is so strong because these kits are, and I don't know if this is accurate at all, they feel like such a value that I feel like if I don't get in on one of these $170, I'm missing out.
Yeah.
And I got to get it.
They're
doing a great job. But I think the pricing point is valid. That's a large, as you said, it's a hindrance to entry. Now I'm timid, whereas I might have been more inclined if the new Lord, his name, Discordant. It's just now apparently
it'll click eventually.
You know it.
The
him
Lord
in a
Awesomeness.
box, Lord of Awesome. You know, he comes out in just a box. Cool, I can just go grab that box. But you know, there's this back and forth about the large items that I hadn't really considered. Until you brought this up. So I think there is a nuance here that I hadn't considered.
The only thing that kept me from getting that Tooth and Claw box, I swear, the only thing that kept me from getting it was that the Primaris Marines were not like specific iconography of Space Wolf. Like if they had included,
that Primaris Lieutenant,
the Primaris Lieutenant,
that
he
guy
almost sold me on that. Whole box.
That's what almost made me buy that box too. I was like going, I must have this guy,
that lieutenant.
But I've, if you've seen it over the years, what they've done is like they release these boxes and like you can only get those models in that box. But then usually you wait a few years or like not a few years, but
half a year.
You wait a little while. They usually come out in its own individual. Like remember like the Assassins, the plastic.
It was
Assassins.
a hot minute before you got those plastic.
But it
Assassins.
was a while before you got those plastic Assassins. Yeah,
but there's a snowball effect. Though.
Yeah,
there's a snowball.
Yeah,
I experienced this in the last couple of days actually, because Wake the Dead came out a couple months ago, and that's the Primaris Eldar box.
Oh yeah,
Wake the Dead. It's like $150.
I was like, that's a British cop show. What are you talking about?
It's a smattering of different Primaris units, and then a smattering of fairly generic Eldar units with one special.
Right.
Not a Bone Singer, but a Spirit Seer, but a Farseer or a Spirit Seer. I forget which. Anyway. And I looked at it and that does a different Farseer. That ticks one of my boxes, but not enough to spend $150.
Right.
And then I see the suppressors.
Oh, right.
And then I'm looking at other stuff and I'm thinking, Primaris aren't so bad. Now all of a sudden that box is looking more appealing. And it's like, well, yeah, do I need more Guardians? No, but a 6th Wave Serpent might be nice. Oh, 5 more Wraith Guard. Actually, that could work because I need about 30 of those, a grand total. And it starts... And then next week it's going to be something else. It's the need. It's not a need, but I could use that.
The only thing keeping me from getting
more
that Tooth and Claw set
and the rate
and suddenly going, I'm just going to make a kill team for Space Wolves was the fact that they did not include or it didn't have Space Wolf iconography.
It didn't come with. Does not come with the upgrade sprue?
I don't think it comes with the upgrade.
Oh, really?
Sprue.
I don't.
If they had thrown a couple of those upgrade sprues in there, I'd have been done for.
So case in point to Lars mentioning Wake the Dead. I didn't even know that was a thing. So there's an entire giant box set that somehow went,
you miss them.
Whoosh, and went right by. I was like, okay. And all I can go is I don't want to do Marines. I am still fighting that fight. And I'm like, Eldar isn't, everybody I know seems to have them. So I was able to be like, that's not for me. I'm good.
I didn't bother.
But even if it's like, hey, here's some Chaos Marines and you play demons. And
have you ever contemplated Chaos Marines before? Oh, well, I have. Oh, well, then we have just the box set for you.
Yeah, I think the pricing in that regard is a little different now than maybe you were saying it was low-hanging fruit, but I think there is some nuance to this issue that maybe is a little different now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, listen, to your point, do we want the prices to be cheaper? Is anybody here arguing that we would not want the prices to drop? Like, what if they said, hey, we're going to drop all prices by 25%? Anybody here going to get upset about that?
I don't want that. I want to pay full price.
I guarantee there's somebody out there who would get upset about that. But
I'll buy too much.
But, I mean, I think in general, of course, everybody wants lower prices. I mean,
Sure.
it is what it is. If we keep buying it, they're going to keep selling it. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, this Shadow Spear box is going to sell. It's already selling like crazy.
Oh yeah, no, it's
And I've
definitely
heard
gonna sell like hotcakes.
And I've heard a bunch of people say, "Oh, it's $175," and yeah, it is.
Mhm,
And I know, because
Yep.
I threw out my money for a copy of it too. You know, yes, I get a preview copy, but I still wanted more, so I paid for it as well, and potentially may split another set with somebody at some point. Who knows? But yeah, of course I'd want it cheaper. You know, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lars, let's go with what is GW in your mind the one thing you would want them to do different?
Forge World, wherefore art thou? Forge World rules.
I will tell you. I will tell you.
Where?
The main studio is going to start writing all the rules for Forge World stuff.
I'd heard
they
that.
announced that a little while ago.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
Yep.
But you know, I've been sitting on 2 copies of Doom of Mymiara with outdated rule sets.
Yep.
One in 4th,
I
and
miss-
another
I
in
miss Imperial Armor
what was
books.
it 6th, 7th? Yeah, me too.
I really
Yeah.
miss Imperial Armor books.
And I'm just I'm sitting on a box of Corsairs,
Yeah. Yeah.
like 50 guys, way too many guys.
Yeah.
And even if I put them all together now, I couldn't really use them in 8th ed, and they so belong in things like Necromunda and not Rogue Trader, Kill Team. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So that's really the only thing that's missing, and I still feel like I'm complaining about my ice cream being too cold because there's just so much other stuff out there.
Yeah, but
It's
the
so
stuff
good.
you've purchased and you'd like to play with.
Right.
But I think it's coming is
Yeah.
my take on it. We just saw the Custodes rules
Right.
released. And of course, before the ink was even dry, the digital ink was even dry, people were like, well, where's my Adeptus Mechanicus? You know, where's
Right.
I'll tell you, they're coming. Of course they are. If the main studio is going to write all that stuff now and not Forge World write those rules, Forge World can focus on the small games that they're working on and models, and let the studio write the rules, and they have the resources to maybe apply it now a bit better. So I think inevitably we will see those things happen.
I hope so.
To extend Lars' metaphor and play devil's advocate a little bit, though, when you're buying Forge World, you are buying premium, really top shelf cold ice cream. And to know
Cold Stone.
even better.
It's the liquid
Cold
nitrogen
resin
cooled stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this like the microbrew of ice creams?
You know what?
Yeah.
I live in Santa Cruz,
Kinda.
man. It's a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
But if you're buying that premium product, then to go, well, but you're going to need to wait at the end of the line for your rules
Not
is
fair.
understandably a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow.
I'm not
so,
disagreeing
Oh,
with
yeah.
you
Yeah.
at all. Where before who
That was my jam.
yeah, I was like,
That
I was
my
surprised
jam.
you were so like, I'll tell you where it is, and we just need to wait. I'm like,
Yeah.
Oh no!
Who are you?
Don't get me wrong. Like I love me some Forge World stuff. I misspoke. I completely agree with you.
No, I
am
hear you.
happy. I am happy the studio's taking the
Yeah.
stuff over. I would love to see it. They dropped the ball, right? Like
Yeah.
Forge World had some shakeups, had change of focus. Management has changed everywhere in the company.
Mm-hmm.
There's who knows what the reason is, but the consumer's feeling the pain of that.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. I also recognize, well, okay, but there is a goal. They have a plan. It's going to take a while to get there. I'm not thrilled about that. The hell's Imperial Armor books? We used to cover Imperial Armor books on the
Yeah.
show.
oh, hey,
You're screwing with my content, Forge.
hey, if I'm going to be sitting in this chair more often, I got a brace for getting ready to take one of those suckers on.
Oh,
like,
'cause that's a nightmare.
yeah, I've heard, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for it.
Horus
Well,
Heresy
maybe I'm.
books coming up. I'll tell you what.
That is a
Which-
big book.
Blood Angels.
eighth?
Yeah, eighth. Malevolence.
Yeah.
Malevolence.
Cannot wait.
Can't say it.
I cannot wait for it to come out. I can wait to cover it because that is a lot of effort. But no, please don't get me wrong. I agree. Like you're 100% correct.
Yeah, premium product. It needs to have the premium service that
Yep.
in every other way they do give you with those products.
Yeah.
You get it every other level you could want.
Are the Corsairs not covered in the Forge World Index book?
They are covered in the index, but
but they don't gain the benefits of being updated rules.
They're not updated, and they aren't
Good.
very good.
Okay.
He's being real
That
gentle.
I'm being
that's
real
been an
nice.
issue, yeah.
Fair enough.
Justin played them, I think, for about a month at Game Castle, and then he put them away, and no one's seen them ever since.
Yeah, Brian, to give him some credit, Brian will try and polish a thematic turd really well.
Yes.
And even Brian was like, no, this isn't playable. It's not
Yeah,
usable.
it's bad.
So the rules are really not
Got
good
it.
for that.
Okay.
For that iconic rogue trader force.
And to your
Wacky
point,
pirates.
If you're paying that premium, you should expect to be able to use them.
Your toys, yeah. I want to play with my toys.
And I got about 100 little, paper thin blade veins for jump packs that I got to glue on.
Jody.
So mine is very much my free ice cream isn't cold enough. Okay, so the release schedule is blistering and fast and furious, and I love it. I am a huge proponent. As I mentioned, I had that Small Wars thing going at my house, or Small Hammer Thursdays, where we could play these small box games that they're putting out all over the place. Specialist games are in full force, and I've always been a big Specialist game fan. There's these mainline starter boxes, which, hey, if anybody out there isn't playing these mainline starter boxes, they almost always have a scenario in them. Play them. Get your friends to paint up what's in the box and play that stuff. It's really fun. But it feels like they are throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing which noodle hits the ground first with this release schedule. It is all over the place. I don't know from month to month what's coming out, where it's coming out from.
Chaos.
Yeah, chaos. Yeah. Chaos. Everything comes out now, or it doesn't, or maybe. I don't know. Good luck.
The schedule's chaos.
Yeah. You're gonna have products. Which ones? Yes. That's not helpful.
Jody, have you gotten into Necromunda at all?
Once Carl and I.
That's the issue, because I think like the rules were like very. I heard the issue with the rules. Like I haven't gotten into it. It looks interesting. I do kind of like I like the models.
Yeah.
But it's just like I heard the rules like they didn't all come out at one time.
No. So what happened was you got
bits and pieces
you got
of
the
the
core
rules.
rules, and then you got the rules that included the gangs that came in the box. And as they would release a gang, they would release the rules for that gang and the cards for that gang. So, but now you can buy 2 books. One book has all the rules for the game, and then the other book has all the gangs in it that they've released so far.
All the Specialist games like Necromunda, I'll say right now, and I think when we did the episode, this was kind of the punchline, was if you want to get into that world, if you want to play Blood Bowl and be into Blood Bowl, it is a rich and wonderful world. You're playing a premium product, and you're going to have to be willing to put out that effort. I think over time, Adeptus Titanicus will go down this route that you're going to have to really commit as somebody who wants to play it. Necromunda, I think, is at the front of that curve of if you want to play it, you're going to have to buy in and just accept multiple books, accept Forge Worlds to get the things you need, and partial here and partial there. And it's that all over the place that I go, the one thing GW is not doing well is, as a customer, give me a little bit of predictability about what's coming. Yeah. And they are rumor milling more, or not rumor milling, but telling you hey, this is coming your way. A little bit. Give me a chance to react and plan a purchase. I literally end up going I can't get that because I got this thing last month. Or
I've done that's an interesting
It's such a scatter shot. And as somebody who I think a lot of us are going man, I wish I could play AOS, but the release schedule is so aggressive, I can barely keep up with one system. If you let me plan and kind of know what's coming a little bit more, I could plan a little bit better for when I'm going to be dipping in and out of things. A bunch of people in the area,
That's a
Carl,
great point.
You and Brian and I'm just on this wherever the hobby winds take me thing, but they're planning their quarterly progress. And you guys are planning that with some estimated knowledge of what's probably going to release in place. Give me GW, help me out, man. Help me help you give you my money.
Right?
Help me to give you my money. It's the release is so aggressive and so fast that my head's just spinning all the time. Case in point, Wake the Dead. That was a huge box set, and it completely went swoosh like a wind rider by
and you missed it.
my hair, and and there's a lot of hair there, and I still didn't know. It's just give me some sort of compass to get my bearings about this speed of release and these small games, and it's not even just 2 core games that are getting released at this aggressive stretch. It's all the supplementary extra games, which I love. It is so much. And I go, hey, I don't need it all. I will be a responsible consumer and do what I need to do. But I can't even do that because it's so fast.
To purchase it on the spot, or I guess you can get to it later. But they tell you, some of these things, they won't be there.
They're
right.
gone.
Best time to buy it is now. I agree with you. I mean, if there was some
like Grandmaster Titanicus box. I mean, it sold
people
out.
Went nuts for that thing.
Yeah, that thing was like sold out. They basically it was gone.
I think you were given 2 weeks notice with that box, maybe 3, because they showed it at a show, and they are kind of previewing stuff now. A
little bit ahead of time.
At Adepticon,
right?
And they're saying, okay, hey, we're teasing this release. But it is interesting. It's an interesting point that they've even removed from White Dwarf now the here's the catalog of what's about to release or what we've just released. That's gone from there. A release schedule is a hard term for me to actually make them stick. But giving you these releases and saying a month from now we are going to now release this. If they move the announcement up, that might help a bit to help people prep.
Or even a pattern of, hey, and I mean, right now it's something for every system releases every month, but even that, and there's also no reliability to it. So, Underworlds.
Yeah.
When Underworlds first came out, Shadespire.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like every 2 weeks we got a new warband and a new set of cards to digest. Mm-hmm. And then since this new year rolled around and the new Night Vault launched, they went, okay, well, here's 4 warband, here's the starter 2, here's 2 more warbands, and then we've hit this really long gap until the giant Trog troll dude just came out. Right. Well, why didn't you just pace it the whole time that way? Like, why did you have to do this massive deluge up front, and now we're this trickle? Like, you could have spaced that out to at least that, hey, we're getting a codex every 2 months. Hot damn, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But at least let me know that they do it with the FAQs. The FAQs drop and the updates drop at certain times of the year. Give me some kind of idea about what that pattern might look like, so I can know, but there's a new codex coming out. I want to see what that is, or maybe because I think they're doing a great job of stoking the fires with teaser images in a time. But give me some sense of what's coming, just because I mean,
fair enough.
I can't keep up and I can't plan purchases, and
I don't know for sure, obviously, but I'm guessing that has something to do with reducing inventory, like having inventory cranked out and ready to go, and having it sit in a warehouse costs you money.
Yeah, this is true, but you could plan announcements and manufacturing at different stages.
Yeah, there's some disconnect.
I don't know. Yeah, I maybe there's something back there that we don't understand, but I do hear what you're saying, and I think it's a legitimate.
And there's a time when retailers did get this information that here's the next 6 months. Yeah. Roughly what's happening, and it didn't always happen, but it was roughly for the next 6 months. This is what it looks like.
Yeah,
cool.
Right. Yep. Well, company's doing better than ever. It's hard to
Hey, I mean, first world as it gets over here.
That's an excuse. I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know where you go from there, but it's a valid suggestion. Mine was actually along the Forge Roll line, which is so funny because you were like, oh, you're making. Mm-hmm. I think they've struggled very hard with the Horus Heresy piece as well. I think Horus Heresy players are very frustrated, and to a degree, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Definitely feeling a little neglected. I mean,
yeah.
And you're seeing a bunch of the stuff just going away.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, you have 2 weeks. This is last chance to buy. Once it's gone, it's gone. Yep. And you're just like, I was not ready for that, and now. And you basically put me on
your
the
opportunity.
Yeah.
Now they may come back for like last chance buys and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, what they're looking at is they just have too many SKUs. They just have, and they're just like, how do we manage all these different SKUs? And to your point, Lars, inventory becomes an issue. Yep. And again, where clearly the focus on Horus Heresy shifted.
Yeah.
With Alan passing and kind of, and he said, "Hey guys, you should have an alternate plan in case I win the lottery or something." And well, that didn't happen. But to his point, it felt like everything kind of went off a cliff, and
the rudder is just gone.
And I think for a while, people were okay to say, "Okay, we understand," but now and they did just release some cool looking models for sure, White Scars and Blood Angel stuff. The Blood Angel stuff.
Oh, the Night Lord stuff.
And the Night Lord stuff. I mean, it all looks fantastic. But those guys, I can understand why they're frustrated. I can understand. And, we'll see what happens. But hopefully Forge World is I'd love to see the Horus Heresy thing come to a conclusion. Like, I don't want it to just... And now I'm kind of like, boy, are they going to finish it? There were grandiose plans. There were plans for Primarchs are going to get released. And and so like now I don't know that we're going to ever see that. But we'll see what happens. But boy, everything else, like you talked about Necromunda a little while ago. Austin IPA definitely wants to get into it as well. And so, we keep going back and forth. How much free time do you really have?
Exactly.
That is my issue. It's a time issue, right? It's like I only have certain amount of time, and it was a lot better before. Yeah. But I changed, work schedules, so it's very limited. So it's. But also, I got to pick my poisons.
We were just at Game Castle selling off a bunch of stuff, and Adon's sitting next to me selling all these models for all these different games, and I just looked over and I go, "That's pretty much why I play one game."
Yeah. I made that call quite a few years ago.
Yeah. And I play that one game within the universe of that game, but realistically, I want to play in a campaign of Necromunda. Do I have the time to commit to that? Not realistically right now. If somebody else
those
runs
models are
they're incredible,
dude.
If somebody else runs it, I can, and they're like, every Thursday night we're going to do it. Okay, I'll be able to commit to something like that, but I can't do it or organize it or any of that.
Right.
So. Okay, well that's it for the Warrior Lodge. We will come back after we will do a interview with Dave Taylor that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, and then we'll close out the show. So we'll be right back. All right, and I'm here again with Dave Taylor, the infamous Dave Taylor. How are you doing, sir?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How are you doing?
Awesome. Now that I've received my hard copy of Armies, Legions, and Hordes, your Kickstarter delivered.
Woohoo! Hooray!
Let me tell you how impressed I am with this book, though. I'm still actually reading, piece by piece. Of course, I flipped through all the pictures, but.
Sure.
But there is a wealth of information in here, and a lot of it just like motivational. What kind of inspired you to do this Kickstarter and get a book out there with your name on it?
The original idea, I think I might have mentioned last time when I chatted with you. The original idea was came to me when I was sitting there putting together a rule book for a friend's company. And I was really enjoying the process of assembling a book, taking the words that he'd written, photographs that I'd taken, and design ideas that I had, and turning it into a physical thing.
Yeah.
So I was really excited by that. And then I was like, oh, well, I could do this myself. It's just the writing that I'd have to do. But I can't write rule books.
How hard could the writing be?
How hard could the writing be? Hey, so I had to come up with an idea of like, what's something that I know how to do, and painting wargaming armies is the big thing. And you know me, I love to talk about toy soldiers, and I've been talking about it for a very long time. So just being able to put together all of my thoughts on ways of helping people to overcome those roadblocks that sort of pop up along the way.
Yeah.
I think,
and it just provides
mindful of how people put projects together is an important thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just provides some ideas for how to get started and how to think a little differently about a task that you're going to do, or not even the specific individual task. It's more about how to think about the project overall.
I find it actually, some of it is stuff I already use, and then some of it were some new ideas that I hadn't really considered.
Sure. Yeah. No. There's a friend of mine, a guy I used to work with at Games Workshop way back in the day. Now he's doing. He does project management for a living. And he got his book, and he opened up. He started reading it, and he sent me a message and said, "Oh my God! In all my years, I never thought about applying my project management principles to my hobby."
What the heck? I was a project manager. That's where I started making Kanban boards for my progress.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, and I mean, this is kind of a softball question because I can't expect you would answer it any other way. But how satisfied are you now that the product is out and that you have it in hand and people are getting it? How satisfied are you, one, with the product, and that's kind of the softball question, but two, how satisfied are you with people's reaction to what you've put together?
I think obviously I'm really happy with it. It's the book that I pictured originally in my own head.
Yeah.
It was of course incredibly tough to describe it fully to everybody sort of the first time out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people wouldn't understand what I wanted to do with even things as simple as the quality of the paper and the hardback cover and the slipcase and all that sort of stuff. Just the feel of it.
Yeah.
But also the way that people can. It's not a book that you have to read from start to finish.
Right. You can pick up and put down. Yeah.
Yeah. You can move around it. It's got something for everybody in there. And I think even in the thing that really excites me is that even in the sections where you may not be interested in that particular gaming genre or those particular models, but there's something in that section that talks, that can speak to a project that you're working on.
Right.
So I'm excited about that, and I'm very satisfied with sort of how that's come out.
Yeah, I mean it's on quality par with Forge World books and that kind of thing in terms of the quality of it and as you said, the feel of holding it. And I think to kind of lead into another point, what that helps too with is your next book. Now people will understand a little bit more about what to expect in your next book.
Yeah, very, very much so. I think, and you lead on to a fun thing. I wanted, going through, as I said at the start, it's like, I wanted to work out something what did I know about, what could I write about that I knew about? I was painting wargaming collections. At the same time, I was thinking, what do other people that I know a lot about?
Yeah.
How can I turn those into cool books in the sort of the same fashion? So my mate Mel Bowes, the terrain tutor, who does fantastic work and has got loads and loads of great video tutorials, that kind of thing, knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes to terrain. It's like, I know how to build terrain, but I don't know anywhere near as much about building terrain as Mel does.
Right.
So, I know that Mel doesn't know how to put a book together.
Right.
So why don't the two of us get together and create another cool project? So, I'm excited about sort of getting that sort of off the ground.
And what is the name of that book at the moment? I'm sure there's a working title. What do you think of calling that?
As a working title, I'm a big fan of titles that sort of describe exactly what's in the thing. So this one is Terrain Essentials.
Perfect.
The tagline is an essential guide to building terrain.
I think boy, you hit. I almost wish that one came out first because I'm super into doing terrain right now and something like this. It was so funny because Mel, I don't remember. I think you posted a link to a page of his, and I was like, "Oh, hey, this is a really cool YouTube." So I can't believe I didn't know about it before. And he said, "I was on your show like years ago." I completely forgot. It's like episode 13 or 14 or something like that. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right." But there was so much material from the point of that was 7-8 years ago to now.
Yeah,
the stuff he makes is incredible.
Yeah, he's the thing that I really like about Mel's approach to terrain building is that he doesn't just sort of decide on a way that he's going to do something. He'll have an exploratory phase, a research phase.
Yeah.
But he'll try and find like 3 or 4 or 5 different ways of doing it, and he'll present those in a way that it doesn't say like this is right and this is wrong. It's like these are the pros and cons of this approach, and these are the pros and cons of another approach, so that people can make their own decisions, which is something
that's incredibly valuable.
Important.
Yeah. Well, so when do you expect the Kickstarter for that thing to go live? I assume you're doing Kickstarter again.
Pardon?
I assume you're doing a Kickstarter again.
We are. I mean, Kickstarter is for guys like myself and Mel who are just sort of small one-man shows. It's definitely an important way for us to be able to get those funds to create the quality product.
Yeah.
And particularly also to get the funds to be able to ship it around the world.
Yeah.
Which with Armies and Legions and Hordes can be incredibly expensive.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
But I wouldn't have it any other way. Oh wait, maybe
cheaper, but yeah.
Yeah. But we are taking it to Kickstarter. And actually, I believe the Kickstarter is probably live right now.
Oh.
Depending on when this episode goes out.
Oh, okay. So, I was about to start looking it up. Well, that's fantastic. I didn't realize it was that close because I'm totally bidding in on this. I'm super happy with the Armies, Legions, and Hordes book, and if the terrain one is as valuable to me as this one is, I mean, and I'm hoping honestly it's more valuable because I really want to know more about terrain. I am super bought in. As soon as I saw that was the announcement of what you were going to do, I got very, very excited. So, yeah. I think one of the books I have used the most from Games Workshop is that thin War Games terrain book, which I still have a copy of. And I always kind of wished, wow, I wish this went a little deeper in certain areas. So I'm very eager to see what you guys come up with.
Yeah. And initially, it's one of those things with the book. When you're creating a book, and building a Kickstarter campaign around it, it's kind of tough. We're not sort of doing like a board game like Cool Mini or Not or something like that, where you can keep adding on extra
levels and
additional things.
Yeah.
So we're going to approach it in the same way as we approached my book, which was we have a core. Which has a whole bunch of information in it, the core of a book. And as we go, if we can, we expect things are going to go pretty well.
Yeah.
But the stretch goals will be in a similar fashion where we're expanding the book.
Yeah.
We'll add an extra build. We'll add an extra thing on rocks. We'll add an extra thing on trees. We'll add sort of some extra advanced level stuff in there.
Yeah.
As well. So that's what we're hoping to do is to build it to the same sort of level, about 176 pages, hardback, really nice quality. That's really the aim.
Very nice.
What we want to do.
Very nice. And it should be mentioned, Armies, Legions, and Hordes, there's a digital version of it too, which incorporates a little bit of video and some stuff in that. I thought that was really cool. And if the terrain piece is if you do a digital version of that, adding more videos, I mean, it's like not unlike he doesn't have a plethora of videos, Mel, that you could pull upon or link to, for example. So, just fantastic.
There are definitely lots of cool things that we could do with video in a interactive digital version for sure.
Yeah. So can people buy Armies, Legions, and Hordes now directly that they haven't, that it's the Kickstarter is complete and it looks like you've delivered probably all of it, if not the majority of it?
Yep. No, all of it is shipped.
Oh, perfect.
We're still, there are still some folks who are probably waiting on it to arrive. I think maybe down in Brazil and South Africa and.
So shipping's expensive, you say?
Yes, to certain places in the world. Actually, I'll just mention I am really stoked that there's probably 27 different countries.
That is incredible.
Backers from 27 different countries. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
very excited about that. Thank you very much, everybody.
On that note, Dave, I mean, an interesting thing is when I started this podcast with Jeff, I don't think we really kind of considered the international implications of something like that. And really it was kind of just, we were a little US focused, and we understood that, yes, there are people in the UK who may listen to the show. But then to see, as you look at your metrics and obviously you look at your shipping metrics and you're like, why is somebody in South Africa listening to this? Or why are people in the Ukraine listening? And it kind of blows your mind that, oh yeah, I guess it's not limited by boundaries for the most part.
Yep. The imaginary lines on maps are not really important.
Are really imaginary.
Yeah, pretty much.
So anyway, back to the point. Where can they buy it now?
Right. It's available in a couple of different places. If you want to pick up a PDF copy of the book, or actually in the backer kit, Pledge Manager, I had some other bonus PDFs too, where it was like I knew I wouldn't fit all of the pictures in the book. So there's a bonus sci-fi PDF which has a whole lot of extra photos that didn't appear in the book. One for fantasy, one for historical. There's a painting guide for the Tanith as well, all the Tanith armies. And those are all available from ironheartartisans.com.
Okay.
So that's my buddy Alex, who helped me with all of the US and Canada and rest of the world shipping. For the book, he also has hardback books available. So if you're in the US, that's the best place to probably to grab them from online.
Okay.
Also, if you're in the US, Alliance Game Distributors are distributing the book. So you can actually order it through your friendly local game store.
Oh, very cool. Very
Alliance.
Cool. Okay, well, I will make sure I put a link to the Ironheart. What was Ironheart Studios?
Ironheart Artisans.
Ironheart Artisans. I'll make sure I include a link to that in the show notes here. So if anybody's interested, they can go right there, or you can go to your local game store and ask about it. That's amazing. So let me ask one more question regarding the books, and that is, what have you found to be the most rewarding aspect of seeing an idea kind of come to life like this?
I don't know. I'm really not sure about it, I must admit. But I think perhaps it's that having that vision like 12, 18 months ago of what I wanted the book to look like, and now having it in my hand and going, this is it.
Wow.
You can take a crazy idea, whole bunch of knowledge from years of experience, and turn it into a physical thing that people can hold and enjoy and read and learn. That's probably the most incredible thing.
Yeah. Well, we ask the hard-hitting questions here on the independent characters.
The most dangerous thing, really, though, is that that I probably have been annoying the crap out of my wife for the last particularly the last 6 months, where most of the conversations that I initiate regarding the book.
So Nova Open registration just occurred. My understanding is you're taking a short break from that for now. In terms of
from the Nova Open Charitable Foundation.
Yeah.
I stepped down from the board so that I can make sure that the couple of projects that I've got going this year, that I didn't have to split my time and negatively affect both of them. So there's a lot of fantastic people who have stepped up and are organizing some great some great charity raffle armies.
Yeah.
And I know, I think, so CK Studios is organizing organizing a Warlord Titan.
Yep.
This year.
I'm writing the lore for that one.
Oh, fantastic. That's cool.
Yeah. So that should be pretty exciting to see, because I'll tell you, I have a Reaver Titan, a Chaos Reaver Titan that Caleb painted on his own. Right. And it's incredible. And now he's got like Sam Lenz and Kat and Justin and himself working on all this. That thing's going to be insane.
Yeah, I did hear that Sam and Vincent Venturella
Vincent
working on the hand.
Yep.
It's like,
And and here's the thing: like, I want to bid on it, but I even if I want it, I don't see how they could give it to me without it looking bad. So I'm just not going to bother bidding on it.
Well, the great thing is that now that I'm not on the board, I can finally start buying tickets.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That'll be pretty good from my end.
Well, listen, Adepticon is right around the corner now. As we record this is the 4th of March, so we're, I guess, a little over 20 days away from it. Yep. And I'm going to see you there. I'm also going to Nova for the first time this year, so I'm hoping I see you there too.
Yep, I'll be. I'll be there. I am doing some painting for the Nova Charitable Foundation this year. I think myself and Caleb are actually Caleb Wissenbach are actually painting up a Night Lord's like Zone Mortalis.
Oh, nice.
Course.
Nice.
Horus Heresy one, and but I'm also head judge of the Capital Palette painting competition.
Oh, fantastic!
So we've got a whole bunch of paint judging to do. And I'm also going to be helping out, still helping out with the Nova Open Charitable Foundation, selling some tickets.
Yeah, you thought you were going to get away.
If I can cut my commitments down to a very reasonable level, I think we're looking good. But
well, that sounds pretty reasonable. So,
Dave, no, it has been fantastic. All the people that have stepped up, and it looks like this year's offering will exceed last year's offering, which exceeded the year before, and that sort of thing. So it's fantastic to see it continue to grow.
Well, fantastic. Well, okay, so I'll see you later this month, but thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk very, very soon.
Cool. Thanks very much, Carl.
Hey, guys. I'm Caleb.
And this is Kat.
And we are CK Studios. We want to invite you and your friends to come paint with us at one of our exciting and fun-filled airbrush and hobby weekenders. Our weekend workshops are 2 days of intense hands-on training, working directly with and learning from some of the top gaming artists in the industry.
Whether you're brand new to miniature painting or an experienced veteran that wants to up your game, CK Studios has the workshop for you. Our workshops cover everything from learning the basics and building confidence in airbrushing, all the way up to creating that centerpiece model for your army or display case.
For more class info and our upcoming schedule, you can find us on Facebook at CK Studios Come Paint With Us, or register directly at ckstudios.bigcartel.com.
If you can't find a class near you, that's okay. Just contact us and we'll bring a workshop to you.
All right, so thank you for joining us for episode 184 of the Independent Characters. I want to thank you guys for stepping in. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, it was great.
Always like having new guests on. If you like what you heard today, please leave us a review on iTunes or on Facebook or wherever reviews are held. We really do appreciate iTunes reviews. If you did not like what you heard today, feel free to send me an email to carl@theindependentcharacters.com. I'm open to suggestions. You can also make those suggestions if you're a member of our Facebook group. But if you want to join that Facebook group, you absolutely must answer the questions when you try to join it.
Yeah. Is it hard?
The questions are very, very easy.
Are there very in-depth,
three of them?
very complex math questions that you must answer.
Get your abacus ready.
And I don't know why anyone wouldn't do that.
I hope you know trigonometry. No, they are very easy questions. However, right now we auto-decline any invite. Anybody wanting to be invited to the group who does not answer those questions. So if you had friends that have tried to join and they're like, oh, they won't let me join, or I never heard anything back, it's because they didn't answer the questions. So please do. It makes it very easy on your moderators of that group. Additionally, as I said at the beginning of the show, please consider joining our Patreon. Patrons get an extra episode of the Independent Characters every month. Well, patrons of the $5 and $10 levels get that. $10 level are going to get access to campaign, all kinds of good stuff that's going on. And it really does help the show. Bear in mind that every bit of that money that is collected through Patreon is going right back into the show, not into my pockets or anything like that, but replacing computers, replacing microphones, those kinds of things, and delving into some cool video ideas that we've got that are unlike, hopefully, anything anybody else is doing.
That is a little scary.
A little scared now.
We'll hopefully make it worth your while. If you can't donate money through Patreon, please don't feel obligated to. It's fine. The show will continue to roll out as much content as we have been on a regular basis. There's nothing there. In fact, you will even benefit from the patrons that join the Patreon, because we will upgrade sound equipment, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So that's all I got. You guys got anything you want to throw out there before we kind of close out the show? Well, okay then. Then in that case, this is Carl.
This is Jody.
This is Austin.
And this is Lars.
And we're coming to you from the Astronomicon, where no matter what they do, I still love you, Forge World.
And if I hurt your feelings, you can send your hate mail to Jody at theindependentcharacters.com.
Where Austin is still driving Titans all over the place.
And where your friends won't hate you, even if you still paint with a brush.
This is very true.
That is
all of that was true, except your email address. That is not an actual email address.
Damn it. Tried to work my way in.
Don't send email to that address. You know what? I'm going to create that email address and forward it to you, but not right now. Please don't send hate mail there. This episode of The Independent Characters is protected by the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find information on the front page at theindependentcharacters.com.